right, calling to order Historic Landmarks Commission, July 30th, 2025. Can we start with roll call?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Chair Grumbine.
Present.
Vice Chair Uli is not here. Commissioner Butler.
Here.
Commissioner Dordan.
Here.
Commissioner Drury.
Here.
Commissioner Ensberg.
Present.
Commissioner Lenvik.
Present.
Commissioner Lodge.
Here.
And Commissioner McClure is in here. We have quorum. Thank you.
All right, great. We'll now go on to item A, public comment. Any member of the public may address the commission for up to 2 minutes on any subject within our jurisdiction that is not scheduled on this agenda for public discussion. Does anyone from the room want to talk about something that's not on the agenda?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I do have one speaker slip for general public comment. If Nathan Slack would like to come up to the podium, just make sure you turn that microphone on. And if anyone else would like to speak under general, you can fill out a speaker slip along that wall and bring it up to me, and I will call you.
All right, welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. Unrelated to why we're here today, we also wanted to provide an update on recent planting activity that took place back in March. So the Commission will recall that a couple years ago they referred to the City Council the State Street Parkway to be designated as a historic landmark. And so we had worked with the city's historian to make a commitment to try to restore that back to its original intent in terms of landscape design with the jelly palms, essentially. So there were 2 per median and 4 per block. So we were deficient or short a couple of those medians. And we partnered with Santa Barbara Beautiful as part of our Arbor Day activities this March. So on March 20th, we relocated one to a more appropriate location, transplanted 2 little ones that were volunteers to Alice Keck, and then Santa Barbara Beautiful funded a specimen to be brought in and be planted. So the landmark is now whole, and we're really happy to report that to the Commission.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any more speaker slips for in-person public comment, and we don't have any participants online, but I will acknowledge that we received written correspondence from Ernest Solomon and Megan Higgins, and give it back to you.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, so now we'll close public comment and on to item B, approval of the minutes of Historic Landmarks Commission meeting of July 16th, 2025. Do I have someone who wants to make that?
Second.
Wants to make the motion?
I'll make the motion to
Okay,
approve the minutes.
All right.
Second.
And we got a second, Commissioner Butler. And so under discussion, are there any edits or things that need to be discussed within it? Everyone's looking good. Okay, so let's have a roll call vote for acceptance of the minutes.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Dordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Drury,
Abstain.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvik,
Yes.
Commissioner Lodge,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. On to item C, approval of the minutes of Historic Landmarks Commission meeting of, consent meeting of July 16th, 2025.
So moved.
All right, that was good, fast. Off the block there. All right, Commissioner Drury, and do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Jordan. All right, any discussion or edits for the consent calendar minutes?
No.
All right, then let's have a roll call vote.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Drury,
Abstain.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvik,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure.
I'm sorry, I just walked in.
We'll
Abstain.
do abstain. Commissioner Lodge,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Dordan,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. On to item D, ratification of action taken on the consent calendar, July 30th, 2025. So do we have a motion to ratify this?
So moved.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Drury.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Commissioner Jordan. All right, so to staff.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. Item A was 131 Castillo Street, which was continued indefinitely to staff with the comments that 1, the design is generally acceptable in terms of color and material. 2, study existing fixtures and see if approved fixtures can be used. And 3, study the lamp to post connection. Item B was 509 State Street, which received project design approval and final approval with findings. Item C was 2025 Plaza Bonita, which was continued 2 weeks with the comment that review by a licensed architect is needed. Commissioner McClure, just as a side note, reviewed this agenda on his own today. He did a wonderful job. And item D, 932 De La Vina Street, received project design approval and continued to staff for final approval with the conditions to change out the Coronado stone to sandstone or something lighter, 2, retain the terracotta tile on the ridge cap, and 3, choose a roof shingle that is darker and more natural in color, like a warm brown or gray. And then item E was 119 West Haley Street, which received project design approval and final approval with the comment that the commission accepts the memo from the architectural historian to the Secretary of the Interior standards and the appropriate findings. And that is all for consent.
Great, thank you. All right, so any other questions or discussion before we,
I have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
Who was,
I think it's Commissioner McClure.
can you tell us a little bit about the State Street, I forget the address?
Yes.
509.
There's an asterisk by that because, so you walk in off State Street and there's a loggia, it's 20 feet deep.
Yes.
And on both sides.
Yes.
Not the facade, but on both sides, they're proposing some mosaic tile
Yes.
panels.
Yes.
That look like ice cream cones or
Yes.
confectionery of some kind. And I was a little torn. We kind of all were, but we went ahead and let it go through with the idea that we're going to run it by the group.
You're going to run it by,
This group,
and that you're doing right now?
yeah.
You're running it.
And if I guess there's no way to bring it up, is there?
So this would be the opportunity to discuss the item, and the commission can decide to pull it up to the full commission if they feel that it's necessary. Just to kind of summarize the discussion, and Nicole can jump in as well. The loggia, so originally the building was, that loggia was closed off, so that's not the original facade, and the murals are proposed inside on the sides of the loggia. So it is an exterior element, but not on the front facade and not original. So it doesn't have a negative impact on the resource, but it isn't something that we've traditionally approved in EPV. So it was, and it is a little bit of a sticky situation or an interesting project. So if the commission does not feel that it is ready for project design approval and final approval, you can certainly pull it up to full commission.
All right, so yeah, it's just,
I think the only, commissioners, I think the only thing I would add that we talked about is it is reversible when a new tenant comes in. It can come off. And again, like the original building had the glass storefronts in those big arches that were removed, I think, in the project that was approved in 2010 to open that loggia. So it's sort of like an interior element, the
it was
loggia.
an interior space historically.
Yeah.
And now it's
So it kind of is
becoming
a
an exterior space.
gray
Yeah.
space now.
And
Anyway.
there's no verbiage, there's no letters or
Yeah.
words, it's just a graphic of what they sell, kind of like.
All right, so what's the commission's thoughts on it? Do we want to pull it up? I did see the submission for it, and are people feeling like they want to have a review of it?
Well, I for one am surprised that is so easily approved in the historic district. 4 large ice cream cones.
What are the flavors?
I didn't pay that much attention, but I just don't see them as being appropriate to the district. Now, we went through this with the signing on the bar in the 500
Oh,
block.
Institutional.
Institution Ale.
Yeah.
That was a neon sign.
And we didn't find that was approvable either. City Council did find that it was approvable and chose to. But I for one, am not anxious to give those 4 ice cream cones our blessing,
Okay, so.
my blessing.
So it's other thoughts, and then it sounds like if there's enough discussion that wanted, we want to bring it up to the full board.
A question?
Yeah.
How many commissioners were present this morning for the consent?
We're what?
Present for
How
the
many people
consent.
were present this morning?
There's Commissioner McClure was.
Yes, Commissioner McClure
Really?
reviewed alone. I'm not sure what,
Okay.
I hope he's well.
Okay.
In that,
Yeah.
a comment. I think more eyes have to see this.
I agree.
I would agree.
Okay. Sounds good. So I think that
Chair?
everyone's, yeah.
Would it be possible for staff to bring up at the end?
Oh, here, do you want to?
Oh, I'm sorry. would it be possible-
Because it was part of the submitted,
We can't discuss it now.
I'm actually going to ask our design review supervisor, because I don't think we're allowed to discuss it now. I think we just can vote on whether or not you want to bring it up to the full commission, and then you can review and discuss at that
Okay.
time.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Ms. Rydell is correct.
okay.
Yeah.
What if you happened to put it on the screen, just happened to?
Let's, should, what is the,
Look over there.
what would be, Mr. Chair, the proper procedure to make a motion for item 2 on the consent calendar to come to the whole?
Yeah.
What's the
full-
proper way
So
to
you can,
word this?
you can, I think you can accept everything else except for that item to come
Yes.
to, so you can do it all in motion.
Yeah, so the motion makers would have to amend their motion to ratify the consent calendar except item B, which is
Okay.
to be referred to the full commission.
Okay, so does the
So
maker of the
amended.
motion
So
want to do that?
amended.
Okay, great. And the seconder,
Isn't it item
Yes.
two?
agree? It's, yeah, we're, in our list, it's item 2 instead of B, but
So, well, it's.
whatever,
item
2B. How about 2B? 2/B. Okay, so the maker of the motion is good with it, and the seconder as well. Okay, with that amendment. All right, so now can we have a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Lundvik.
Commissioner Lindvik.
Commissioner,
Pardon me, I was asleep here. Yes.
Commissioner McClure?
yes.
Commissioner Lodge?
Yes.
Commissioner Butler?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Drury?
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg?
Yes.
And Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we are on to item E, announcements, requests by applicants for continuances, withdrawals, future agenda items, and appeals. So
Thank-
staff,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff has one brief announcement. The project at 633 East Cabrillo Street, which is on your agenda for later this afternoon, was the decision made by the Planning Commission and the approval at Planning Commission was appealed to City Council. That appeal is going to take place on September 23rd, and we would like an HLC representative to attend the hearing to represent the project and the HLC's comments on the project. We're not sure if the decision, if there is a decision today, we're not sure if it will be appealed, but that appeal would probably be scheduled for the same hearing. So we're just looking for someone to represent the HLC at that City Council hearing on September 23rd.
and can you remind us of where, oh, actually, so whatever we're deciding here, it should be one of us.
Correct. Well, and so I can bring up the minutes from the
Yeah,
last
that's what I
hearing,
thought.
which we'll also go over when the item comes up later today. But you continued it to Planning Commission with positive comments. And then, yes, would also be representing the HLC's comments at today's hearing, whatever they may be. So does anyone feel up to representing this project at City Council, September 23rd?
Well, we're going to deny it anyways.
Chair Grumbine?
Yeah, Commissioner Ensberg.
Question, can we know the nature of the appeal?
I do not know the nature of the appeal offhand.
So I am available, and I think it is typical, if available, that I represent if the chair represents. So I'm fine doing that with whatever we end up deciding.
Sounds good.
You guys can make
Yes.
sure to pass on whatever we decide clearly so that we can have that discussion.
Chair Grumbine,
Commissioner, yeah.
real
Yes.
quick, if I may just
Yeah.
quickly respond to Commissioner Ensberg's question. At minimum, you would get the council agenda report the Thursday prior to the Tuesday council hearing. So bare minimum, that's when you'd get that information and all the background on the appeal. We try to get you additional info beforehand if we can.
And actually, I would also, maybe with one note, if we are split in our decision today, then I'll also ask who the other, if I'm on the opposing, but, or vice versa, that I'll ask someone of the opposing views to also come, which I think has happened before in the past, if there's a split decision. Yes, Commissioner Lenvik.
Should we review and take action today if this is being appealed to the city council? I mean, are we getting ahead of the game?
No, through the chair to Commissioner Lenvik, it is pretty standard practice that if a PC decision is appealed, that we will still proceed with the design review for the potential that if the design review decision is appealed, both appeals can be held at the same day. It saves applicants' time, appellants' time, staff time, so this is a pretty standard practice.
All right.
I wish we knew what the planning commission's, well, the planning commission approved it. That's,
Okay. And when we're on that item, if we want to have any other further discussion with staff, we can. So, and get any other additional information we might want. Okay. All right. Let's, any other announcements, et cetera?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Drury.
Ancient history, but I carried the banner for the Historic Landmarks Commission to the Planning Commission about the corner of Yananali and Garden Street, the project, Brian Cornell's project, and defended it as well as I could. It seemed like it went well, and that's all I can say. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, yeah,
All right, thank you. Any other? Any other announcements, et cetera? All right. Let's go to our subcommittee reports. Item F, subcommittee reports. Any subcommittee reports? Yes. Commissioner Ensberg.
Yes, I have a couple things on the interim, on our interim group, our active interim group. First of all, the 1200 block is all bricked in now and looks really, really good. I urge you all to go over and have a look. And they did put chips on the planted areas, and we're currently waiting for, the Botanic Garden has stepped up to partner with us and is going to help us with some plantings, which we should have their suggestions within another couple of weeks, is what I was told. So that's great. And then the East Figueroa Paseo, which we were going to meet last week, was postponed, I guess, because they wanted to do a little bit more of their homework to get pricing and that sort of thing. But I think it is moving along, and we keep
Yeah, and I think
pushing.
Arcadia is going to be developing stuff and coming to us.
Yes.
So it's going to come back.
It's West Figueroa.
Yeah.
Right. So it's moving along, and we keep pushing wherever we can to just keep it, moving. And then I just also wanted to just say about objective design standards, that there have been, I think, 2 projects now that have come through using objective design development standards, and it seems to be working. So one of them was the Parma School over there by, what is that street that it's on? Across from Trader Joe's over on Milpas? Montecito Street. Yeah, Montecito Street. And they used the ODDS, and it seemed to work. So
Great.
it's kind of a new thing, so just keeping an eye on it. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Ensberg. All right, any other announcements? Et cetera? Okay. Or subcommittees, subcommittee reports? All right, in that case, I think we're only 5 minutes behind. Let's go to item 1, East Anapamu Italian Stone Pines. This is a discussion item. These are designated landmark trees, the Doremos Italian Stone Pines. The city's urban forest superintendent will provide an update regarding the East Anapamu Italian Stone Pines. No final appealable decision will take place at this hearing. There was a staff memo and a historic significance report. So welcome. If you could introduce yourself for the record.
Chair Grumbine and Commissioners, Nathan Slack, Urban Forest Superintendent. So we're here today kind of at the request of the commission to provide brief updates as there are changes to the Doremus Pine Trees Historic Landmark. So we identified last May in memo form prior to the presentation that we had in July of last year that there were in addition to trees that were removed due to safety-related issues, there were several that were in just poor health. It's been a year since then. There are now 4 trees that, are either dead or in such a state of decline that they warrant removal. So we've prepared a memo outlining the status of those trees, as well as including some additional next steps. Part of the memo attachments was the maintenance and replanting strategy, which was a new document and really highlighted some of the steps that we're planning on taking over the next year to help to restore the landmark. And I want to thank Commissioner Ensberg for providing an update recently on a really great meeting we had with the constituents who were really passionate about the landmark. And so there's 4 trees that we plan on removing at some point in the near future, probably within the next couple months. It's not dire, but they are in an irreversible state of decline, and so they will be scheduled for removal. In addition to that, on more positive notes, we've partnered with the Streets Division. If you've happened to be out there recently, they've been doing a lot of work on our behalf, fixing a lot of those curbs where we utilized asphalt, and we still utilize asphalt as just a preventative measure in terms of reducing impacts to the trees. So a lot of the curbs were asphalt. We asphalt over sidewalks, again, just to minimize damage to the root system. So where trees have been lost over the last several years, they've gone back in and replaced those asphalt curbs with concrete. And we made that decision just because of the strength of concrete and its ability to help guide new roots deeper. The PSI of concrete is much higher than asphalt. So from a design perspective, it made a lot more practical sense. Once those street repairs are finished, we're going to be coming in with a landscape contractor who's going to do significant site repair. So we're going to be grinding these old sites down as deep as we can, removing all of that woody material, which really prevents just tree planting and definitely success of the new trees. And then we're going to be bringing in like a nice high quality soil. And then we're also doing what we would call like a linear application of root barrier, both on the curb side and the sidewalk side, which is basically just a very dense sheet of plastic, probably 18 inches in depth, that meets up against the hardscape just to help, again, minimize impacts long-term to the hardscape and hopefully minimize the long-term damage to the trees. And then this winter, we're hoping to plant new trees. We have secured a contract grow with Devil Mountain Nursery. So out in Fillmore, we have 40 very cute little baby Italian stone pines that are being grown in these really neat new pots, or like air pruning pots or pioneer pots. And in short, they produce the most healthy transplantable root system. So the trees will be quite small when they're put in, but small is always better. And the root systems are going to be, rock solid, and we hope for lots of success. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, so if that completes your presentation, we'll go to public comment. Any public comment?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I don't have any speaker slips for public comment for this item, though if anyone in the room would like to speak on it, they can approach the podium at this time. And I'm not seeing any movement. We do not have any participants online, and we didn't receive any written correspondence for this item, so I'm going to give it back to you.
All right, to the commission for questions, comments. We'll just roll into everything.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Butler.
2 questions. So I was over on Garden and Anapamoot today, and I noticed there was a lot of work going on. I assume that had to do with the curbing or something, because the trees that are going to be removed, that process hasn't begun yet, correct?
Chair Grumbine, Commissioner Butler, that's a great question. Yeah, so all of the work that the streets team has been doing has been like work that's occurred over the last, say decade or so, where there's been trees removed. So the timing of this is bad. They're pretty flexible, so we'll be probably reaching back out to them with these new trees in terms of like making the same level of repair. So I think when we look at the street and managing the landmark and the restoration of it, it's an ongoing process. There's going to be continual changes. And so that kind of highlights that. So everything that they're doing now has been where there's what we would call like a vacant site or no tree currently. And then, as these things continue to happen, we'll just call on them, to help us repair those sites.
Okay. Then my other question was, in your report, the 4 that are going to be removed, I thought I read that you would then study replacement of those 4, or have you already determined for the 4 that are going to be removed will be in fact replaced?
Chair Grumbine, Commissioner Butler, I think, so we have 40 and we kind of have 40 spaces. So I think when we mention that in the report, it may make more sense to shift over or utilize that existing location. So it's sort of again, a flexible decision on whether it makes more sense to utilize some of the existing spaces. Because despite it being 40 trees, we've been pretty liberal in their placement, I think, to try to get a lot of trees back on street to establish canopy. So like, for example, the tree that's in the 300 block that's close to the church, that's a really ideal planting location. Whereas in the 500 block, the parkways are smaller and we're, kind of shoehorning in the trees a little bit more. So I think that in terms of the report, that's what we're referencing.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Drury.
I have a question. How big are the little trees? What do you?
How big is a little tree? Or how little is
a little tree?
Chair Grumbine and Commissioner Drury. So we're in 5-gallon containers, these Pioneer pots, and once we secured the contract grow, they've shifted them to 15-gallon pots. So, they're probably only a couple feet tall. In these pots, the growth is really accelerated. So it's kind of tough to say when at the time of planting, which we're projecting this winter, they're probably going to be pretty small, but we'll protect them and hopefully we'll see.
I think this whole project is really healthy to hear about. Terrific idea. Thank you.
Yeah. Commissioner Ensberg?
Yes, thank you, Chair Grumbine, and thank you for the presentation. We really appreciate your coming.
Yeah.
I think we had, asked for more, to have it agendized, and we really appreciate it and would, always welcome you to keep us, up to speed with it. I just have a couple of questions, and one is there a plan that could be shared about, the actual street and the plan showing where all of these are getting placed?
Chair Grumbine, Commissioner Ensberg. Currently, it's mostly just data points like in spreadsheet format, so we're never going to draw like a plan. We'd kind of talked about that, I think, too. Yeah. And then I think to Commissioner Butler's comments earlier, there's still, we're still kind of sorting out the replanting portions of it. So the streets repairs kind of went out throughout the entire street, and some of those locations won't be replantable. There were trees that were, literally in a 3-foot space between driveways that just doesn't make practical sense anymore. And so once their efforts are finished, we'll finalize each location with the landscape contractors so that they can do the site repairs, put the root barrier in, and then we'll know exactly where every replacement tree is going to be planted.
Mm-hmm. And then how will we know that? You don't make a plan to show where they all go, or do you just put a stake in?
We like plans.
We like plans.
Yeah, Chair Grumbine, Commissioner Ensberg, I think we probably, at a minimum level, I think we'll have everything in the tree inventory, so it will be plotted, so you can kind of like see a generalized representation of it. So in our world, all of our assets, the trees typically just have an address. It'll be like 300 East Anapamu, like
see.
F1. That's kind of our world.
Right.
I'm not good with CAD or Vectorworks or any of those like fancy programs. So
You don't do 3D?
I don't, no.
Okay. Well, whatever you can provide to help us, that would be great. And then 2 other things, and I know this is the group, our citizens who've been so diligent in helping us with this. One thing was about any kind of signage or, recognition or, I don't know. It seems like it would be great to have some kind of explanation of the alley, for the public, and how would something like that, is something like that being considered? And if it isn't, do you have any suggestions as to how something like that might be able to move forward?
Chair Grumbine, Commissioner Ensberg, I would say that I'm the tree guy or tree person. So signage really isn't my thing necessarily. I think we would be willing to work with the architectural historian and certainly the commission to see what does make sense. And I know that the stakeholders certainly have some strong opinions on ideas, and there's certainly some of merit. But I think I would take a very small role in that.
And maybe just on that, and also to keep us moving on, I think that sounds like a great idea, and maybe if that's a suggestion to the public, especially the very active group there, to maybe come to us and come up with some
plaque.
ideas, and maybe there's a corner plaque or something that can identify or picture or whatever, all kinds of fun historic markers, ways of kind of identifying it. So if they're interested in kind of doing that, like people that are interested in putting plaques for their own historic resources are
Yeah.
allowed to, I think something like that could be great.
Okay.
And working with Ms.
Nicole.
Hernandez would be a good part as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to help on the language and design and
So the
location.
thousands of our
The-
followers are watching
I think we're
right
all
now.
just concerned about like where the funding is coming from.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, and that's always a question.
Okay, and then finally, I think to keep us moving, I don't want to, but maybe I can contact you more directly about it, because there has been some interest expressed in getting maybe pieces of the trees that might possibly be able to be donated to the schools, like trade art, for them to be able to work, take these materials and work them into some other art pieces or something like that. But maybe we could talk separately about that, if it's okay.
Yeah, Chair Grumbine, Commissioner Ansberg, we're currently exploring options, and we do have some time, and I'm working specifically with the stakeholder group to see if we can work something out.
Excellent.
Santa Barbara is pretty tough for urban wood utilization, rather than like, say, a town in Idaho, but it's,
Yeah.
we're working on it. And then lastly, so I can get out of here, I know there was some interest, you guys recently passed the resolution to make all hitching posts a historic landmark, and there was concern about the one. I don't know, chicken or egg, with the hitching post there before the tree or not, but the tree enveloped the hitching post in the 300 block. And we've had preliminary discussions with people. Originally, we were going to try to get that woody material out and relocate the hitching post back after like site restoration. Sounds like that's a really bad idea, and it's likely to end up breaking because of the construction materials. So I think we're just going to have to do as best we can, but it's probably not going to look great, but it will remain in place.
Yeah.
And that,
Okay, well, that's the tree won on that one.
I think so.
All right.
Mr. Chair, one comment, and I'll try to keep it quick. Thank you very much for this presentation. I think this has been a learning curve for everybody involved, and I know that recently several members of the city staff and several of us on the commission participated in a seminar on cultural landscapes sponsored by the California Preservation Foundation. So we were learning the terminology and also learning of examples and experiences in other places. So this has been a good learning experience, and thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much. And then actually, the one tree expert, Commissioner McClure, do you want a quick weigh in, and then Commissioner
No, I
Lodge?
think, I agree. It's just been very, very, very great to hear from you, and I think everything that I hear is great.
Yeah, thank you very much for all your work. All right. Okay, so with that, we will close item 1, and we'll go on to item 2, Historic Resources Report. We're now about 10 minutes over. This is for 1045 Summit Road. This is a review of a Phase 1 Historic Resource Report for a Spanish Colonial Revival Moorish Revival style residence and sandstone retaining wall built in 1918. The historic evaluation is required due to proposal for demolition.
It is not proposed for demolition. That is an error on the agenda.
Okay, the historic evaluation is required.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
sorry, that
Yeah.
is an,
Are you
I
ready
did
to
not catch
defend
that. It is not proposed for demolition at all. But I do 100% agree with the report. This does qualify as a historic resource. I was able to walk the site a few years ago, and it's a real gem, and we're kind of lucky that it's on our side and not on the Montecito side, because it's really an honor to have this kind of building in our architectural repertoire, you know. And I know you probably all saw the report, but I'll let Tim and Pam, but there's my professional opinion. It does qualify as a historic resource, and I think you will be very pleased with the proposal. It's been sort of vacant for several years, so it's going to be a restoration addition, bringing it back to life.
Great. Okay, so let me read the full official stuff here. So requesting acceptance of a historic resources report prepared by Post Hazeltine. The report concluded that the Spanish colonial revival, Moorish revival style residence and sandstone retaining wall constructed in 1918 are eligible for listing as a City of Santa Barbara landmark, listing in the California Register of Historical Resources and the National Register of Historic Places. All right, so with that, welcome. And if you could introduce yourselves for the record and then walk us through your report and findings, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Okay, Pamela Post, Post Hazeltine Associates.
Tim Hazeltine, Post Hazeltine Associates.
And Mark Lloyd, L&P Consultants. Mark Lloyd, L&P Consultants, representing the ownership.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so walk
Okay,
us through.
thank you, Chair Grumbine. So this is a summary of the history of the property. It was built in 1918 for Harriet and Virginia Webb. He was a mining engineer. And it was designed by local architect John Chard. And John Chard was noted for his development of something called the Chard method, which was a sort of innovative technique of using adobe. And instead of bricks, like standard bricks you would see in a colonial era building, essentially it's a kind of rammed earth process where he would mix adobe with some adhesives, we don't know what they were, and it basically would be rammed down, and that's what created the walls. So the house, it's a two-story house with a basement level, and probably its most notable feature is this arcaded courtyard that faces towards the bird refuge. As I noted, the primary walls are adobe. Many of the interior walls are either wood frame or brick. It has a hipped roof with moderately extended eaves. The entries on the north and east elevations are basically the formal entrances to the house. The one on the north elevation faces Summit Road. The one on the east elevation faces a motor court. The motor court entry on the east elevation is obviously the entrance that was used most often. It features, it's kind of interesting because there's a walkway leading up to the arcuated front door, and it's flanked on either side by Venetian-style lanterns on poles, which is a sort of unusual feature for this area. The house has a variety of window types, including arcuated, rectangular fixed sash casement, and circular windows. The fenestration, while not essentially symmetrical on every elevation, is balanced, so it's asymmetrical but balanced at the same time. The second floor featured a number of roof terraces whose roofs were supported by Moorish-style columns. Both of those former second floor porches were enclosed. We don't know when. They were enclosed basically with large single light plate glass windows. The south elevation, as I noted just a few minutes ago, is the most elaborate. It has a sort of pergola-style arcade at its south end overlooking the bird refuge, so it's looking in that direction. And the arcade is comprised of of a central dome flanked on either side by pergola-style arcades that have sort of Alhambra-esque columns. So they are a sort of loose rendition of what you might find in Moorish period Spain. Other architectural embellishments include polychromatic tile murals. The courtyard also has a rather beautiful staircase leading to the second floor, and the second floor is partly juttied, and it has an oriel window. Some of the windows have pointed arch shapes and have leaded glass. Okay, let's make sure I do this the wrong way. No. There we go. Pardon, let me go back one. Sorry about that. So that's a site plan. These are the three buildings that we assessed. The one at the upper part that says house, that's the main residence. Down to the lower right-hand side is the wood garage. That was built likely sometime in the late 30s, maybe the early 40s. It's a sort of board and bat vernacular type building. It really doesn't have any sort of architectural significance. At least that's our findings. And then at the lower southeast corner of the parcel is a two-story building that's partially built of adobe, designed by John Chard, and it housed servants' quarters and a garage. That building lacks architectural embellishments that would identify it as really as an example of Moorish-style architecture. You see there's a small rectangle near the bottom right-hand corner. That is a concrete slab, so there's not a structure there. And this is the street. This is the street facade facing towards Summit Road, and you can see the sort of architectural embellishments that characterize this building. This is the most symmetrical and formal of the elevations, notable for the surround around the arcuated entry doors. And you can see on the upper left corner some of those columns that I was mentioning earlier. Other architectural embellishments include these sort of Juliet-style balconies and metal grills over some of the windows and at the front where the double front door is. This is another view of the north elevation looking towards the east. I just wanted to give you an idea. Pam and I wanted you to see how those second floor porches have been enclosed. And in this case, the one porch has a sort of metal roof, which is obviously not original. This is the service side of the building. So this is where the kitchens were and the service rooms. The porch you see at sort of the lower center portion of the photograph is a very altered feature here. Most of it's not original. And you can see on the upper left the porch, and then just below the porch parapet, the top of the porch parapet, you can see it's actually a drain, a rather elaborately formed drain. And then down below that, if you go straight down, you can see one of the interesting features of this house, which is our wall fountains, which are somewhat unusual. This is the rear elevation. So this is would look towards the bird refuge, and you can see just the top of the dome sticking out at the center of the arcade. Sort of interesting columns, paired columns and single columns that embellish this arcade / pergola. Here's a closer detail, and you can see how Chard treated this with really an eclectic range of architectural motifs drawn both from more what people considered Moorish era architecture, as well as other elements that are actually more characteristic of the Spanish colonial revival movement. So it's very much an amalgam of design materials and details. And this is a view of the courtyard. There's one of the oriels that I mentioned earlier. You can see the first floor portico with its pointed arches and, of course, the Moorish-style columns. And as noted in the report, some of the smaller windows, which are often bathrooms or little storerooms, have these plastered grills, which we think are wood, and then they've been plastered over. Oops, that's not supposed to be in there. Pardon. I meant to take that out. And here's a little better view of the central part of the courtyard. And it's a little hard to see, but if you look straight back on the central arched, you can see part of one of the polychromatic tile murals. And that one is a Spanish galleon. Oops, I'm sorry, those got left in. Yikes, what happened there? Pardon about that. So this is the east elevation. This is essentially the main entrance to the house that was most often used by the family. Because he has a circular driveway. There is a Norfolk pine at the center of the drive. All the curbs here all of them are concrete. And you can see here the entry door and those two Venetian-style lanterns that I mentioned. And here's just a staff quarters building, which just summarizes what I'd already said. As I noted, the building's in pretty poor condition, as you can see here. Originally, the doors on the left were the bay doors, and those doors that are there are not original. We're not quite clear what the originals were, but they're no longer there. This is a sort of vernacular type porch on the back of the building that is not terribly congruent with the rest of the architecture. And we put this in just to kind of visually explain how some of the interior and some of the adobe walls in the building have deteriorated. In this case, one is partially collapsed. And it gives you kind of a good idea how you can see there's not really what you usually look for is like a series of horizontal layers of adobe brick, and they're not here. This is next to the wood frame garage, as I noted, built sometime in the 30s or 40s. It's the building on the right-hand side towards the back. So it's very basic, very vernacular. Originally, there was a landscape design by John Chard. That has almost entirely disappeared. I just wanted to, so one of the elements that does survive is this really kind of rough retaining wall along Summit Road. We consider this to be contributing because generally houses of this era, especially here, which is almost in Montecito, the stone walls of some sort were very common and characteristic feature. So we consider this not to be individually eligible, but it does contribute to the setting of the house. And if there was another type of wall, that would probably not be say a preservation plus. I think that's the last photo I have, and here's the significant statement. The house is eligible because it's a very rare example of Moorish revival / Spanish colonial revival architecture in Santa Barbara. There are a few other examples. There's the Isham bathhouse out in Carpinteria, and that's one of the few. We did conclude that the garage wasn't eligible. It is designed by John Chard. It is built of adobe. But as you can see from the photograph, there's really no architectural detailing at all on that building. And also its location, even though location isn't always critical, where it's placed, you actually cannot see it from Summit Road. And I actually commute on the bus to my home in Ventura County, and you can't see the building from the freeway, just as an example of that it's not very prominent. And so we concluded that the house was eligible for listing, as I noted, because of its association with John Chard and its architectural style. It's also eligible for designation as a California landmark and the National Register of Historic Places. It also represents one of the examples in Santa Barbara of this Chard method of adobe construction, which was something that apparently only Chard used. It sort of died with him when he retired. The other cluster of buildings of this type besides Santa Barbara is down in the Pasadena area. And there were some in Altadena. I don't know if those have survived. So in conclusion, we just feel this is a really unusual example of its architectural style that is extremely uncommon and essentially intact. And what's wonderful, I think, about this house is almost all of the original fenestration survives. The decorative treatments, the grills, the arcades, the Moorish-style columns, the polychromatic tile work. So all those features and materials that characterize that style and convey that style are essentially almost all of them are still there.
Great.
So that's the end of our presentation.
All right. So if that concludes your presentation, we will open it up for public comment.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I don't have any speaker slips for in-person public comment for this item, but if anyone in the room would like to speak on it, they can come up to the podium at this time. I'm not seeing any movement. We still don't have anyone participating online, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this item, so I'm going to give it back to you.
All right, great. Thank you to the commission for any questions on the report.
Mr. Chair, on the report?
Yeah.
Oh, I have just
Or
a question.
questions in general.
I have
Questions about
a lot
life.
of questions. One in particular. How does such a house become so derelict?
I'm afraid that's not a question as a historian that we can answer. I mean, apologies, but it's more of a, I'll be honest, a rhetorical question that we are not able to go into detail how the building got into its current condition.
Commissioner Jordan? Oh. Yeah, Commissioner Jordan?
Thank you. You showed a picture of a badly deteriorated section of the wall in the staff quarters. And I'm curious, has there...
was it the staff quarters or garage?
It's one building.
Oh, got it.
No.
Okay.
Has there been much water penetration in the main house? Are there signs of serious deterioration on the inside walls of that?
There is some deterioration with some water getting into the interior of the house in a few places. Not uncommon, and I think as we all know, adobe is very sensitive to water. And so, yes, there has been some.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Other questions? All right, comments? Everyone thumbs up the report?
Well, I think it was a fairly emphatic report suggesting that we do something about that house. Thank you.
All right, everyone good with the?
I have a question of curiosity.
Sure.
It appears there is no formal or public stair to the second floor, other than the one that's from the courtyard?
Correct. And then there's, of course, an interior stair to
Yeah.
access.
But is that a service stair, probably, you think?
No, because that's, even though that's the, pardon, Commissioner, on that west side of the courtyard is essentially kind of like the service areas in that area of the building. The courtyard itself is like a family space. So I think the reason the interior, and also pardon, in the report, you may have noticed that we had a photograph of a staircase that goes down to the basement too on the west elevation. So that was a formal staircase. I think it allowed the family, if they were upstairs where the bedrooms were, to come down in the courtyard without going back downstairs to the interior of the house.
The rammed earth architecture, are you familiar with Paolo Solari?
Yes, I've been there.
Is his work not rammed earth?
Well, to be blunt, we're not experts on that particular technique. Chard's method was, as we noted, I just think it's one of those methods where people were trying to, and often use an organic material. And I also, as we noted in the report, Pam and I noted, Chard was actually a descendant of a Hispanic family in Santa Barbara, so there may have been some feeling of heritage with that particular material, as well as the fact it's sort of a signature material for Santa Barbara.
That's a good report, a lot of good information in there.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so does someone want to make a motion?
I'll move
All right, to
accept the Phase 1 Historic Resource Report for the Spanish Colonial Revival, Moorish Revival Style House at 1045 Summit Road.
All right.
Second.
Commissioner Drury, thank you for seconding that. All right, any other further discussion? All right, roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Ensberg.
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvik,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Commissioner Lodge,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes,
Commissioner Drury,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Great report. All right, on to item 3, which is a new item for project design approval and final approval for 40 East Anapamu Street. All right, so with that, this is located in El Pueblo Viejo, the Central Library Building constructed in 1917 in the Spanish Colonial Revival style, the Faulkner Gallery constructed in 1931 in the Art Deco style, and 5 eucalyptus trees planted in 1931 are designated city landmarks. Proposal for new outdoor furniture at the Library Plaza. The project qualifies for an exemption from further environmental review under Section 15301 of the California of CEQA. Project design approval and final approval are requested. Project compatibility findings are required. And there was a historic significance report. And so with that, welcome. And if you would introduce yourselves for the record, and then you'll have up to 15 minutes to go through. And we are, just as a time check, we are 25 minutes now. So we are slipping. All right.
Great. Thank you, Chair Grumbine and Commissioners. I'm going to start, and then I'll pass it off to Mr. Bodette. My name is Tess Harris, and I'm the State Street Master Planner for the city. I'm in the City Administrator's Office. And so one of the enjoyable parts of my position is while I work, quite a bit on State Street, I also get the opportunity to work on some of the real jewels and gems of our downtown core. And so it's been a real privilege to get to work with Brandon and the library team to bring this project forward to your commission. Brandon is our acting library director, and so he'll walk through the project with you today. I just wanted to give a little bit of background before he dives into that. So what the library is really proposing is in the staff report, but it's outdoor furniture for the library plaza. And the intention is to provide an opportunity for people to experience the beautiful plaza that now exists, grab a book and sit outside, or do some of the programming that the library has right in that space. And what, really in talking with the library team, seemed quite interesting and exciting is this need to bring in furniture that really draws attention to people, that really makes people aware that this is the library. This is a different place than a traditional restaurant or outdoor dining and seating. And so you'll see a different type of furniture than you might otherwise see on State Street or in the downtown core. And I also wanted to just highlight from the historic resources report that was attached, one of the elements for the library is the stylized geometric front entrance to the Faulkner Gallery, which is a characteristic of the Art Deco style. And then it also, that sunburst painting that exists there. And so, you know, what I think the library has done really well is elevate that painting, which, you know, really wasn't that visible before the transformation of the plaza, and they really brought it back to life. So with that, you'll hear sort of the different colors, and that's part of why the library is recommending those color schemes, is to really pull you in when you think Poppy and when you think of what the library logo is. It's really to tie that all together. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Beaudet to dive in a little bit further, and then I'll also be here to answer questions. The one other thing before I do that, we did meet with the HLC subcommittee that's focused on downtown and State Street efforts to talk this through, and we had general support from that committee with some questions, and so that committee had requested that we bring this item to the full board so we could have this conversation and talk about the different elements of this project. So with that, Mr. Beaudet.
Chair Grumbine, members of the commission, thank you for having me today. Brandon Beaudet, acting library director. Since completion of construction at the library last November, we're continuing to kind of grow into our spaces and try and activate them more. Our latest endeavor is to get some furniture, as Ms. Harris stated, onto our outdoor plaza. While we were kind of going through this visioning effort, we really tried to kind of tie in with what other libraries do across the country. We wanted to create a welcoming space that created both interest and discovery. And a lot of libraries utilize activate their outdoor spaces with the use of color and different styles of furniture when they're doing so. So here's some examples from public libraries in Madison, Wisconsin, and Peoria, Arizona, and North Carolina State University, just kind of showing the pops of color and the different uses, the different more non-traditional furniture out there. And so we really try to research different options, different things that would use for us. Most specifically, we wanted something that was substantial enough to support everyday uses, but mobile enough to be moved. We wanted something that's inviting to welcome for short-term use, but not too loungy, that would encourage more long-term, more overnight guests. So we settled on this furniture produced by Muzo Furniture. That's sort of more of a blocky shape. It's can be kind of incorporated into our small programming, like arts and crafts type stuff, but also utilized for just seating for larger events as well. The six-seater table measures 2.5 inches high, 6.5 inches wide, and 2.5 inches deep. So here's a rendering of what kind of what our preferred option would kind of look like. It's that orange six-seater option. We would situate this within the olive trees in the outdoor plaza. As Ms. Harris stated, we kind of tied it in with the mural of the sunburst and poppies. The orange is still warm, but still gives that pop of color. Here's some alternative options. There's a teal option that kind of ties in. You can't really see it well. It's kind of hidden behind that olive tree in the back, but the door into the Faulkner Gallery there is more of the kind of a matching color. It doesn't show up very well on that screen there. As well as different size tables. Another option would be a more traditional picnic style type bench and table. This would most likely mean that we would have to attach it permanently, which obviously would limit us in what our adaptability and mobility and use of the space in general. We're proposing to place these 6-seater tables kind of in a symmetrical fashion within the olive trees. We want to start with 4 to start. We could potentially add 2 more tables for a total of 6, and if we did so, we would arrange them as such. I don't think we would go beyond this. If we went too many tables, we would be kind of giving up space and flexibility there. But as alluded to, we recognize that the library is in the arts district of the downtown cultural corridor, so we feel like these tables do a good job of tying in with the Sunburst over California Poppies mural there. It also ties in with some nearby art pieces. So there's the mini libraries on the Las Granadas across the street, Jardín de Las Granadas, right? Across the street there. You can kind of see them where those are located from where we're proposing to place the tables. And then nearby institutions would also benefit this. So the Museum of Art could also utilize the space and table seating for their guests, for their larger groups and field trips. And both the museum and the Lara Cotta are in support. And with that, I'll answer questions.
All right, great, thank you. All right, so if that completes your presentation, we'll go to public comment. Do we have any members of the public?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I do have 5 speaker slips for in-person public comment, and I will just remind the audience that if anyone else would like to speak that hasn't given me a slip, you can fill one out on the other side of the room. But we'll start with Ann Howard, followed by Marcia Barr and Sharon Rich, and go from there. Please just make sure that your microphone is on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
just turn the mic.
Well, yeah, so you'll have 2 minutes, the timer will go there. So go right ahead.
Good afternoon. My name's Ann Howard. I've just returned to the board of the Santa Barbara Public Library Foundation. I want to say thank you for your work, your continuing work, which I believe keeps Santa Barbara beautiful. And also, history is preserved, and yet you meet our current needs, and I appreciate the work you do. I've come back to the foundation because I love the library. I always have. It's a magic place. I was introduced to it by Mr. Carnegie. I had to climb big, steep steps to get into my small Minnesota Carnegie Library. And I thought the library was magic because it had all those books that opened up this big, wide world to me. But here in Santa Barbara, I've learned that the library is magic, not because of books, but because of the connections that we make there, the way that it brings people together. It's a place where our world gets larger than our little separate worlds. And because of your good work on the Michael Tobes Library Plaza, ensuring us the use of beautiful and local materials, those serpentine pavers that echo water, local sandstone, drought-tolerant plantings, more trees for shade, all the things you told us helped us create a new and inviting community space. So thank you for that. Today I'm here to speak in support of the librarian's vision to increase the usefulness of this beautiful space with appropriate outdoor library furniture that's suited for library programs and community events. I appreciate their research, their choice of furniture that's functional and also has design elements that reflect the surrounding spaces. Now, orange is not my personal favorite color, but I do appreciate the way that it refers back to the Faulkner doors and the way it pops the poppies. I've heard there's some concern about how modern the furniture looks, and so I'm reminded of something I heard here from you 6 years ago when we were in conversation with you about the plaza design. And you said so clearly and firmly that form should follow function. And so that was helpful to us in moving forward with the design at that time. I hope that that is still true, that the design that we need now is not shackled to history, but instead honors and reflects history and preserves beauty while paving the way for new uses. I'm grateful for your wisdom and your vision, which has helped our Santa Barbara Public Library become a 21st century library with materials and programming that extend beyond the walls and onto the newly vibrant and functional plaza at the heart of our downtown. So I hope you say yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we'll have Marcia Barr, followed by Sharon Rich and Lauren Trujillo.
Hello, HLC Chair and members. My name is Marcia Barr, and I'm a board member of the Friends of the Santa Barbara Public Library. I'm speaking today in support of the outdoor seating for the Michael Tobes Library Plaza. I find the functional seatings more contemporary, modern, and geometric aesthetic complements well with the 108-year-old library's Spanish colonial revival style with classical Renaissance details, and its 1930 Faulkner Gallery edition in the Art Deco style. I'm reminded of another famous juxtaposition of styles, the Louvre Museum and its pyramid. In addition, the preferred furniture's collaboration, orange color, highlights John Gamble's stylized design sunburst over California poppies, painting over the Faulkner Gallery's door. I believe the colorful and contemporary seating that combines the old with the new will draw the community and visitors alike to this welcoming public space for all library and museum activities. Thank you, HLC, for your kind attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we'll have Sharon Rich, followed by Lauren Trujillo and Barbara Hirschberg.
Hello, my name is Sharon Rich, President of Friends of State Street. Thank you, Chair Grumbine and Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today. Friends of State Street has had the distinct pleasure of commissioning an artist to create 12 iconic posters of 12 iconic places up along State Street in downtown. We were proud to have Santa Barbara Public Library as one of those posters that we commissioned. Our artist, during his visits to create and take photos, came to the Santa Barbara Public Library when it was under construction. He had to fly a drone over the library in order to take the photos. During his visit, the drone malfunctioned and landed on the roof of the library. As the library staff helped him to retrieve it, he noticed something the public couldn't see yet. The historic sunburst over the California poppy mural, originally created in 1930, which was being restored. And immediately he texted me, he said, that's it. That's the image that needs to be in part of the poster that I'm creating and silk screening. That unexpected moment sparked immediate inspiration. The final artwork became a powerful tribute not just to the building, but to the rediscovered visual story that beautifully ties together Santa Barbara and the public libraries, past and present. And even more meaningful was learning that the library's new logo draws inspiration from that same poppy motif. A thoughtful nod to the library's legacy and the natural beauty of our local landscape. That refreshed logo feels like a natural extension of a new era, welcoming, vibrant, and rooted in history. So when I saw today's orange poppy-colored furniture option as part of this presentation, the connection was instant. That color, immediately my eyes went from those chairs and tables right to the motif of that beautiful, beautiful mural. And it was instant. And the color, they bring warmth, they bring joy and vitality, a visual echo of the mural, and a perfect enhancement to the space. I believe this color will serve as a welcoming beacon, drawing people toward the library and into a space that celebrates creativity, community, and continuity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we'll have Lauren Trujillo, followed by Barbara Hirschberg.
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Lauren Trujillo. I'm the Executive Director of the Santa Barbara Public Library Foundation. I also just want to echo my gratitude for your stewardship throughout this process and the process of getting the Michael Tobes Library Plaza complete. Already the plaza, as staff has shared, has hosted joyful events, story times, author talks, but during everyday library hours, it sits largely unused. Without furniture, we cannot fully activate the space, and we have heard loud and clear from the community that they've waited long enough. These thoughtfully selected ADA-compliant flexible tables will help us meet the library's 21st century needs, supporting literacy, learning, and connection every day. Imagine a neighbor enjoying a cup of Wednesday morning coffee at the coffee cart, a child finishing their summer reading log in the sun, or a newcomer feeling at home in our downtown for the first time. That's what this furniture and inviting atmosphere will make possible. The foundation is proud to provide the funding to support this furniture and honored to invest in the future of this space. We see this as our commitment to a long-term public-private partnership. The Plaza Endowment will allow us to replace, update, and love functional furniture like this into the future. This space is evergreen and ever-evolving thanks to you and intentionally designed to adapt to the changing needs of our community. The proposed flexible furniture reflects that same spirit, responsive, welcoming, and built for this moment. Please help us realize the full potential of this beloved public space for our 21st century library. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Barbara Hirschberg.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Barbara Cronin Hirschberg. I'm the president of the Santa Barbara Friends of the Library. According to several articles on interior and exterior design and my own personal taste, mixing modern furniture with historical homes or buildings can work exceptionally well. This design approach is called transitional, or juxtaposed design, and it balances the charm of historical architecture with the clean functionality of modern design. Contrast creates interest. Modern furniture's sleek lines and simplicity contrast beautifully with more traditional buildings. The proposed orange furniture would pick up the color of the poppies and tie in with the whimsical little free libraries across the street. The furniture would be easy to maintain and move, and the only thing that's missing in our beautiful plaza is a place to sit down. Children attending the summer lunch program could enjoy their meal at a table, and people that visit the considered coffee bus would have a place to relax with their beverage. With the support of La Arcada, the museum, the Friends of the Library, and the Santa Barbara Foundation, it's definitely time to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I don't have any more speaker slips for in-person public comment, so I'll move to virtual participation, which we still don't have anybody online. And so I will acknowledge that we received written correspondence from Linda Love and Francesca Galt and give it back to you.
All right. All right, to the commission now. We'll close public comment. So to the commission now for questions. Let's start with questions.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, and actually, sorry, before we jump into questions, I do want to, I don't know if it qualifies as ex parte communication, but our discussions with the subcommittee group with as we were kind of reviewing this as well, and we felt that some things are easy enough for us to work on, and we know that this is like the 1200 block, and we can come to the HLC and let them know like where it's going and that kind of thing. But this was, because it was outside of what was obviously approvable and acceptable, we felt that it really should come here for the full discussion with full HLC. So that's sort of like the quick summary background of where it came, and Commissioner Ensberg and Commissioner McClure were all part of that. So feel free to say anything else too as we go forward, but just to sort of give the background. Okay, so then I heard, sorry, go ahead, Commissioner Lodge.
Was it unanimous support from the subcommittee?
The subcommittee unanimous that they wanted it brought here as a full discussion. Yeah. So it was kind of, there are certain things I'm sure they're going to come out in our discussions that we saw were sort of pros and cons, and but we didn't feel comfortable that it was something that HLC. We just didn't want, a couple months later, if whatever we decided on, that HLC would see and say, like, what, why did you do that? And there was no discussion in that. So it wasn't an easy to say, yeah, HLC would definitely do this or approve of this in this way. So, okay, so then Commissioner Drury, I saw first, and then we'll go Commissioner. Oh, Commissioner, do you have
to
something
add
to add?
to what? Yes, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because also, we have these guidelines that we've created. And there are times when someone might want to come and propose something different than we usually might have. And so this is that process, that this is different, and it is also a very prominent, important space. So that's also why, we welcome people to come up with whatever ideas they want to that might be outside of those guidelines that we've created. But that would be the purpose of them coming here, to be able to have that reviewed and approved or not. Yeah.
All right, Commissioner Drury?
Yeah, so my question would be, first, in terms of the colors, what kind of finish is on the powder coat? Is it a matte finish?
Chair, Commissioner, yes, it's a powder-coated aluminum.
Like glossy, or is it, what, is it
It's
variation?
it's more of a matte finish. It's matte finish. There's not a sheen to it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and then Commissioner Butler, did you have a
Yes.
question?
So 2 questions. Can you go to slide 7, your placement? Is that drawn to scale? So you have on the left, you have 4, and on the right, you have 6 or whatever.
Chair, Commissioner, that's not to scale, no.
Okay, because in slide 8, they look kind of lonely.
I'll admit I am not an engineer, and that was not drawn to scale.
And then the subject has come up a lot about people going there and eating trash bins.
Yeah, there's trash bins located on the street over by where you kind of see the planters, and as well as to the entrances to the library.
So you're not planning on including trash?
No additional trash receptacles, no.
Thank you.
All right, other questions?
I have a question. It's been mentioned that both the museum and La Arcada have been supportive. And I'm curious, exactly what have they supported? That is, have they supported the idea of furniture in the plaza, or have they supported the specific furniture that we're seeing? So concept versus detail.
They have supported both the concept and the furniture. We had a meeting a couple weeks back.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Ensberg?
Yes, thank you, Chair Grumbine. Could we go to the rendering, please? Okay. What is the size of the top? I think you mentioned it, but I think you were saying inches.
Chair, Commissioner, the top is 6.5 feet wide across and
Okay.
2.5 feet deep.
Okay. Could you talk about the ADA? How does the ADA work? Do you move a bench over and then it works, or how does this work for ADA?
Yeah, Chair, Commissioner, so one of the seats would be smaller, so it'd be like a 4-seater, and then we would have that designated as a handicap space right there.
You wouldn't just move the bench over, you would?
You would use a smaller bench.
So
Commissioner Ensberg, we would use, for the 6-seater table, we would use a bench that then has 2 seats instead of 3 seats to allow that opening space. So there's always a space that's open, and you don't have to move a bench in order for somebody to sit there.
Okay. And then lastly, what are the full colors? Do you have the full cut sheet on all of the colors that are available? And the color I was wondering about is white. Is there a bright white that would be available?
Commissioner Ensberg, there is one called, it's sort of like a light grayish color. There is not a white that is available. It's a fairly light gray. I can pass this around if you like. It's
that'd be
the
great.
one at the bottom called Peace.
Who can be against peace? And we can put it on CTV as well, once everyone sees it.
It'd be good to get
right,
actual samples.
Yeah. Just so that, yeah. there's
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Okay, let's see, there we go. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, any other questions before we kind of go into discussion? Yep, Commissioner Lodge.
Movability of, excuse me, movability of the benches and the tables. You want them to be able to be moved, I gather, or are people big, but does that mean that people are going to be able to pick them up and move them on their own?
Yeah, Chair, Commissioner Lodge, they're movable enough where like staff could pick them up and put them in other locations, but they're a little too heavy for someone just to scoot it over or walk off with them. So it's kind of a good medium there. They're about 100 pounds, I believe, is the
That's
bench
correct.
itself.
Yeah. So the idea would really be that they would stay out in the space for most of the time, but when the space is being used for something where the tables don't make sense in that area, then staff could come and move the tables. And part of that is just to have sort of a semi-permanent area for tables and chairs, but also because of that, staffing need to come in and out, all the time to be moving tables back and forth is not really something that we are wanting to do in the space. But we also, the library's preference is to have something that's flexible enough so they're not permanently installed into the area either.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up question on that,
All right.
too.
Yep.
Is there, so say there was going to be a concert, and so you wanted the tables gone, and you were going to set it up like a, with a stage and all of that. Where would they, do you have a place where they would go?
Chair, Commissioner. So it all depends on the event itself. I mean, no two events in the plaza are alike. So yes, we can put them in different places. If we had a concert like you're stating, that would most likely be centered in the plaza where they are now, but you would move them over closer to the entrance where the mural is. You could put them in different places. We have a lower plaza. There's lots of different options we could do with that. But it all just kind of depends on the size of the event.
But they would remain outside. You wouldn't like move them
They
inside?
would Commissioner Ensberg, they would largely remain outside. I think there is the possibility to move them inside if needed, if the space required, to be used without the tables at all in that area. I think there's, the possibility of moving them into Faulkner Gallery, for example, somewhere if that gallery wasn't being used. Or moving them to kind of cordoning off part of the parking garage that's nearby and moving them into that location temporarily. And that's something that certainly we could do. But I don't think Mr. Brodette or I foresee that happening as much as events where we might just move the table sort of around the space.
All right. Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, we'll go into discussion.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
When we originally reviewed the plaza, the library's people representing the uses to us indicated that they had ideas for a lot of different program uses. And I guess my question is, do these tables in this size fit into the majority of the program uses that are proposed or that were hoped for the plaza?
Commissioner Lembeck, I'm sort of, I think what you're asking is are these tables enough? Is there enough capacity at the tables? Is that correct?
No. As Commissioner Ensberg asked, what if there's a concert here? And you want to have a lot of people out there watching it. That's a program use. Let's say you want to have 2 or 3 clowns making presentations at a large birthday party or whatever. The tables are to a large degree, it appears to me, possibly in the way of some program uses. And so my question is, the program uses that were described to us originally made a lot of sense for the use of the plaza. I don't read in this drawing, in this proposal, program uses.
Commissioner Lembeck, I think one of the great parts about the furniture is that they can be moved relatively easily with a couple staff members, so they can be put in different locations in the plaza so that those types of activities can exist in the main area. Mr. Brodette, anything else to add there?
Chair, Commissioner, I just kind of wanted to add that the rendering doesn't do it justice just how big this plaza is. You could fit 2 buses in between the olive trees and the planter. Like, it's a very large size. We have plenty of space in order to move these tables and utilize them and not utilize them.
That's why the inaccuracy in your drawing is a problem for a lot of us. We think we know what's happening there size-wise, but we see something which is different.
The 6 tables looks like you could barely walk in between them.
Yeah.
But in reality, those ones are shown at like 20 by 15 feet.
Buses.
So, yeah, it throws off the scale of it. So
I just,
to wrap it up, just because we do need to keep moving. So what you're basically saying is, yes, it does, this many tables, 6 or 4, it does allow us to program for the vast majority with minimal amount of moving around, and you think it'll still work fine without a big...
The program, the unidentified program that I think these tables are going to accommodate are the people that want to laze around all day, sitting here, laying here, or whatever, when it's nice and sunny, and they don't have to do it inside the library. I think the problem with tables this large is that they become recreation vehicles or whatever. That's my concern.
Okay, so, and is, what I'm hearing from you all, because we also had some similar discussions before as well, is the narrowness and the hardness and the actual use of it by the library allows for the hope is that there will be less, that won't be a big issue. So
That's correct. And part of what we were looking at with just the actual seating, what that feels like, but also the library has a lot of programming opportunities where there are more than 2 or 4 people that might need a space to sit. And so, I hear that there's that potential issue downtown, but there's also a real need to have a space for a large group to sit, or a school class to come and hang out at the library or have lunch. And so, that is part of the conversation that we had about the size of the tables and wanting to make sure they're large enough, and also that the seating themselves isn't going to necessarily keep people there all day because it's not as comfortable.
And pardon my interruption through the chair to the rest of the commission. I would just like to remind the board that this is an aesthetic review. So I don't want as we launch into comments, I don't want the focus to be on the use. It should be on the aesthetics and the design.
But form follows function. Okay, so I want to get into the discussion so we can kind of move this along as well. So unless there's any other very important questions for our discussion, let's just jump into discussion. So the obvious question, the reason why it's coming here is that it's an EPV. This is not EPV typical furniture, the language and style question. But of course, that's why it's here, because we can make exceptions for things. So, Commissioner Jordan.
I'll try to keep my comments brief and focused. You presented several options, one of which was a fixed picnic-style bench, and I'm very strongly opposed to that. This is not a park, and you don't need a picnic bench in there, and I didn't particularly like the picnic bench. I'm not a big fan of the orange. I understand why it's been suggested, but I think that bringing it down to the plaza level actually begins to dilute the impact of the orange up above. You presented another color option, which was a kind of a teal, which I think, to me, that comes closer to working with the rest of things in EPV, the colors, the palette of EPV. It doesn't have to match exactly, but it does, I would like to see it work more with that. I have some reservations about the stark, what I'm calling describe as the starkness of the pieces. And I certainly think that this is a place that could use more imaginative, whimsical, figurative kinds of pieces, even if that's furniture that has to be commissioned. There are examples of libraries around the country that have book-themed or other kinds of whimsical pieces of furniture. And this is a place in the EPV where I think some of that whimsicality might be appropriate. But again, I don't like the picnic bench. It's not a park, and I don't like the orange.
All All right. Commissioner McClure, did you?
Yeah, I'd like to, I have a few comments. So I was at the subcommittee meeting, and we did discuss at length that this is not furniture that typically is supported in the EPV. So with that being said, I think it's appropriate. I know it's not typical, but I think it works very well because it gives a nice pizzazz and a nice fun thing to look at. It reflects the artwork across the street, and I think that there's a kid function to this, and that would be more exciting for them to look at the plaza or enter the library and see this bright colored furniture. One of the things, and then I was wondering, could there be a placard on the tables that says you can use this for 2 hours to kind of combat the homeless problem? So that's a rhetorical, but because we're not talking
Commissioner
about
McClure, we'd have to look into that. I'm not sure that's something that we could do, but certainly something we can look into.
And then I mentioned this in the subcommittee meeting that I think 6 benches would be better than 4 to really have some impact, because I was kind of picturing 4 and just not feeling that it had enough oomph. If you're going to do it, I would suggest going big. That's my comment.
All right. Who wants to jump in next?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner Drury.
This is really difficult because I know the people who've spoken about the library from the commission, from the committees, excuse me, are very passionate about it. I find it very difficult to support the architecture of the chairs and tables, or the benches and table, and the colors. They seem to be so saturated that they take it on a life of their own. And I know in terms of color, there's a way of desaturating the oranges, the teal colors, all those. I've been past something. I can't talk anymore.
Sorry, I didn't
No.
mean to, please continue.
So I would like to see these colors. I'm not opposed to the color. That's what I deal in my life daily is color. And I would like to see something less strident than the yellows and the oranges. I don't think you need to take the orange. In fact, I think Commissioner Jordan hit the nail on the head that the saturation of the orange takes away from the orange of the poppy. That doesn't augment it at all. There's too much of that color. And there's ways of countermanding that, the volume of color you have by not graying it down, but by desaturating it. I would like to see that at least attempted. Thank you.
All right. Who wants to go next? Commissioner Lodge?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The orange just screams at you, and it just is so contemporary and so plastic. I can't support it, and it just doesn't belong there. I'm passing down a picture that, just passing on down the rest of the way of the.
City TV, can you?
Yeah. That's a 1930 view of the entry, and that's what I remember. I've been around long enough to remember that, and I love those ponds or reflecting pools. And that's why, part of the reason I brought it in is that the rectangles with the blue tiles sort of looking like water, they're in memory of these pools. And at least in the color, if there were a muted Santa Barbara blue, which of course is the trim on the courthouse and for the signs and the buildings across the street, they're all Santa Barbara blue. But the oranges, I think, just clashes too much with what Santa Barbara's about.
All right. Commissioner Lenvik?
Yes, Rick, are you going to?
Go ahead. I'll go after you.
I think when you look at a layout the next time, you really ought to look hard at the paving patterns that were established and put down on the plaza. We worked with the landscape architect for hours on those paving patterns and the directions they took, so on and so forth. And there is something about the paving patterns that make this really a classic kind of plaza. And what I see here are picnic tables in the plaza. And I don't see that as being respectful of the architecture that's there, of the plaza paving materials that's there, the plantings that are there. You had quickly shot by a picture of a smaller four-top tables. And to me, it would be better to have a half a dozen four-tops over in a corner of the plaza or strung out in a playful manner, as opposed to this very orthogonal structured layout of 6 big tables. You mentioned people coming there for a cup of coffee and a donut. If there's another person sitting on that bench, it's difficult for a new person to come in and find a place on that bench. If 2 people are on that bench and they're at both ends, the rest of the bench is not going to be used because you're not going to get to it. So, you're saying, well, these are not used by people casually coming in. They're used for big groups of kids. Well, the plaza's got to be used for more people than just that. And I think it's a mistake. It's an architectural mistake to do this size of table and bench arrangement in the plaza. It's not really respectful of the architecture that's there now. And I don't think it will function in anywhere near how you would like it to function when you get through. We don't have any control of that. We can sit by and watch whatever happens happen, but...
All right. Okay, did Commissioner Butler, have you gone? Oh, Commissioner Ensberg and then Commissioner Butler. Okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chair Grumbine, and thank you very much for your work. And these things seem like small things, furniture, but it's so important. It really is. And any design, we're designers here, that all the elements have to work together for the complete whole. So you're looking at everything all together to see how it works, each piece contributing in some way. And could we just go to the picture of the rendering? Yeah, there, either one of them. I just feel that this, I agree with my commissioners, Commissioner Dorden and Commissioner Drury and Commissioner Lodge and Commissioner Lenvik, what they have said. And I'll just add a little bit that I feel that this is calling too much attention to itself instead of really being part of this larger whole. That was why I was asking about if it could be, I might be able to be more comfortable with it if it was white. That might be better. But I also have concerns about the other pieces that were mentioned. You talked about showing other libraries, across the country, but we're not across the country, we're Santa Barbara. So what is appropriate for Santa Barbara in this very special place is a question that I would put to you. And also, form does follow function, and all of these pieces go together. How does it all work for the multi-purpose space? It's a multi-purpose space, and how does this contribute to the multi-purpose space to be able to work on a daily basis? And then, what if you had 1,000 people there? You want to have a big thing. It's a big space, so it can do some big things. But I think if you look at this image and also the beautiful picture that was sent over, the historic picture, to me, if you block them out, I feel like they take away, and others have said this too, away from the mural. They pull your eye away from it instead of, so if they were, say, all neutral, if they were all white, for example, whatever the shape was, whether they were four tops instead of these big picnic tables, then I think then they just are a texture. They become a texture and a form. They already have enough going on with them, as far as I'm concerned, with the shape. I don't think they need to also be a color. And then just finally, I will say that, think about how do you use these in many, many, many different ways? Can you push them together? And can you make a big, giant thing? And then so you have a bunch of kids there, and you want to have the kids all, in a row, and they're all sitting there, and they're being taught by a teacher. Then what? Then how does that work? So really, and I know you've been really doing your due diligence, and I appreciate that, and so I hope you, that's why we're here, is to help you see things that maybe you didn't think about. But yes, so I'll stop there. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Butler?
Let me first say, we appreciate the board members and all the related interests to come here today and to take the time to share your views. That's important for us to hear. I'd like to use Commissioner Lindvik's phrase. I go by the plaza almost daily, and to me, this is an architectural mistake. Filling that center portion of the plaza with furnishings sort of defeats, is antithetical to the phrase and the use of plaza. So to me, at a larger level, I just think it's an architectural mistake. It just doesn't fit it. Is there a possibility you could explore other adjoining areas to provide seating, et cetera? Perhaps. I mean, maybe that's an option, but centered right in the middle is probably, just like I say, it's antithetical to sort of what the plaza really represents and what it provides to the community. I did like the orange.
Oh, my God.
I actually have a yes/no orange column going here, so I'll take one up for the yes.
Can I make one more quick comment?
Yeah.
It's an issue that has come up in the discussion. It involves the design of public spaces and the issue of a community that we used to refer to as homeless. And what I want to say is I would advise not to design this public space with the idea of discouraging use by members of the community we don't want hanging out there forever. I'm not sure that the way homeless populations occupy public space is necessarily amenable to a design solution. It's a behavioral problem, not a design problem. So whatever you're working on, you want to encourage use. That's the top priority.
Okay, and then I'll throw my 2 cents in and then try to summarize. So I think with some of my fellow commissioners' comments, so I think the struggle in my mind with this is, as we have to make findings for El Pueblo Viejo, and there's a reason Santa Barbara looks the way it does. It has really one of the few places in America, at least, that has really has a strong theme and language and style and is consistent with how we've applied it. And I think we have what we have because we've done that really well, and not because we've done it, but because the generation before and the generation before and the generation before did too, which is why we actually have a lot of the good, great infrastructure and designs that we have, barring some 60s brutalism that snuck in. But aside from that, we have a language that we work in. And so when there is an exception to the rule, and there can be potentially, but when there is an exception, really, in my mind, for me to be able to make the findings and support it, it has to tie to some additional reason why this is so special for this particular reason that it gets to break the rules where everything else has to abide by it to create this sort of cohesive whole of design. And the only thing that I could come up with in my mind in sort of a justification thinking of it, it is a library, so there is a certain stance that it has as a public building that allows it to be able to do certain things that other public buildings don't necessarily have that you can make an exception for the library where you can't make an exception elsewhere. So, and the only one that really latched on my mind is the book, the book art pieces that we had on State Street first, and we reviewed them, and there was that whole, but even though they're art, we're still reviewing them, and they're cool because they're art that involves a library, and I could see a potential with that. I could potentially be supportive of it if it incorporated it in that way, literally, bringing some cubbies and being playful with it, and having the seating and that kind of working as a whole. But unless there's a language that you're tying to, standard EPV wins, basically, in my mind. And the exceptions that we're allowed to use are for like institution ale, not that the neon sign was too close and all those other things, but it actually has a different language, and we approved other things for it that we wouldn't because it was tying to the building itself and the language of that architecture. So if there was some tie, that would be the only way I could potentially support that, would be if you really went that direction. And I think when one thing that popped in my mind is Commissioner Jordan was saying, like, you know, some libraries commission pieces, of course, that's dollar signs and multiplying everything out and blowing the budget. The underpass made me remind me of a very if you want to go playful Santa Barbara and break some of the rules, Jeff Shelton, we kind of beat him up a bit too in terms of being too whimsical. But he ended up at a very playful solution, as have other institutions or other public places, that's very creative, that has a lot of, Moxie as well, has a lot of playful, does both. It's a playful and the pop and all those things, and it also has a Santa Barbara feel to it, but that might not just be standard Spanish colonial revival, but it also very much plays into our tradition and is unique and is also obviously going to be more expensive, so I understand that too. But that jumped out to me as that could be the type of thing where you can get away with orange, and I actually could potentially see tying to that color and making that for a reason. It does scream, it is strong, but I could see potentially working it in if the piece itself was more supportable, and so maybe David Shelton will cut the library a deal and make some really creative ironwork. But that's sort of, and I think from most of the commission, I think that is the main challenge is if we were making an exception for this, how can we, the next building is going to say, hey, look what you did 2 months ago for the library. Why can't you do that for us? And then it'll be the multiplication of it, unless there's a real strong reason why the library gets a special exception versus everyone else, or for this particular reason, or it's done in a way that is a very artistic and very Santa Barbara, like a David Shelton version of it, which obviously the gates right next to us here are not the most common gates, the giant iron dragon gates that you find, but they're very playful and very out there. So, okay, so that now there's, I'll try to summarize, but I think that in general,
Mr. Chair, may I interject?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So the problem is we're really hard to please. And the problem is the fact we're hard to please is what makes Santa Barbara look the way it does. I think that the furniture is unarchitectural. And the big problem with that plaza is the Faulkner Gallery. It's one of the great buildings in Santa Barbara, probably one of the great buildings on the west coast of this lovely state. So you're fighting sort of a losing battle with trying to fit something into the space in front of that, which is the plaza itself, with something that's going to aggrandize the Faulkner Gallery. I don't believe that the architecture, the furniture, or the colors do that. That's my last comment.
Okay.
And pardon my interruption through the chair to the rest of the commission before you go into the comments. I do want to caution the commission to not include comments on use in the comments for the project, because use is not HLC's purview. And then just to make sure that so we have it clear for the record that we don't have any interruption until the end when the chair calls for discussion. So with that, I'll let you go ahead and proceed with the summary.
Okay, so let me try to summarize the comments, because I think we have a range, but there's also consistency in what we're finding. So let's start by thanking the applicant for doing a very thorough job and a deep dive, and we know from previous discussions as well. I'm trying extremely hard to get a good use out of this plaza, and it's really appreciated, and it's a very important and beautiful space that really deserves to be to have a really great solution on the seating on this use side. So we thank the applicant for that. So regarding the color, I think there at least was a split between the commission, with some potentially accepting the orange. The teal, how's everyone feeling about the teal? Is it all the colors that just need to go Santa Barbara colors more, or are some of them more acceptable than others?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with, we'll just go one by one. So let's go with orange first, just so try to give some direction to the applicant. So all those that could potentially find this orange being used in the, raise your hand. Okay, so 3. So for the teal, who would potentially see teal? Potentially see teal, raise their hand. Okay, 3.
Well, Mr. Chair, you're putting that color on this architecture, on these features, and that's, you can't separate them. You got to separate them. You can't.
I know, but I want to give, so that the next round, if there's very strong opinions about something, they know that there's going to be at least strong opinions or divisions about it. So I want them to get at least some sense of our division, if there is anything that's clearly supportable or not supportable. Okay, because then I don't want them wasting time coming back with stuff that if everyone's very clearly against it. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, so with this color palette, the wood, I think, is the question. Is that supportable or not? Okay. That's, okay, so I think wood may be a different stain, but still, that's at least you're seeing in terms of where people are finding that basically all the colors, and there isn't a majority that favor any color as presented. So, okay, so then so that's the color. To the architectural design, the design of the items, color aside, so if these same things were painted a Santa Barbara blue or whatever, what have you, some other color that we were able to agree on, the design of the pieces, the style of the pieces, who is in favor of, or it's acceptable that they could approve this style if it was just a different color. Okay, so there we got one if that could approve the style. Okay. All right. Let's see. So we're not going to get into use of it. They've said that they're happy with either 4 or 6 of these certain sizes. So then the other comment made was just in terms of layout and design of looking at that. So additional study is needed for looking at how the pieces are going to fit within the plaza as a whole, how within the paving patterns, within wherever they live, even though they are movable, but where they lay out well. So that was another item, and then another general item which might be, or general comment which might be helpful as you go forward, is that the pieces, because I think this also helps explain some of what we're having trouble with, the pieces also are calling too much attention to themselves. So having furnishings that work within the plaza, that do the function that you need to have, all those things, but also aren't the center of attention, basically. And that may be through color or design or both that you can figure that out. Okay, and I think the general concept, at least so far, is actually. Let me ask about that idea, the twist I threw in at the end of the book cubbies. If they brought one of those over or had one of those commissioned or whatever, but basically try to tie to it in a more clear way than just being across the street, but actually having one or some of those in the plaza incorporated in some way. Obviously, it has to work with all the functions and everything else, but incorporate in some way. Would anyone be potentially supportable of colors and or materials style being tied to the cubbies and with the cubbies there?
Mr. Chair.
Or is that too far a stretch for everybody?
I would say that's something that we would have to see.
Okay.
But that personally, I would be perfectly willing to consider.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things you have to see it before you can make a definitive decision. But I am willing to consider.
Okay. And then is that how others feel, or they're pretty clear?
I don't understand the question. Could you
So at the end, I made a comment that I could potentially be supportive of perhaps something of this sort if they're tying to, and this was a previous discussion of like, and that they had the picture showing the book, the art book pieces which we approved, well, even though we didn't have the power to because they're a piece of art, but they're the question mark and they're the book lending libraries or whatever. If they actually intentionally brought that over and tied it, not just as, oh, this is across the street, but like, it's here, here's the lending library, and isn't this neat that the chairs and tables match it in these ways, whether it's in color and materials or whatever it was. Then it could feel to me like it's a one-off, more artistic tie of the library with the lending, with the furniture that might be able to be supportable. That in my mind was the only way that it could break the EPV and make sense as an idea. But so Commissioner Jordan's saying, see it and then decide, is that what others feel, or they're clear, like, no way, I already know what I'm going to say,
Well,
in which case.
I like the fact that this is just one boldly departing element, and I can support that. But bringing in reds and blues, and now I feel like we are getting too much going on. So I can support the hard departure in one design element, or 6 or 4 in this case, but I couldn't support a whole mixture of colors.
Okay. All right, I just want, and that way they don't go down a path if people are very clear, like, no way, even if you brought the books over or a book thing over and matched it, I still wouldn't be supportive. And I think that's good if it's clear. Commissioner?
Chair, I am struck by what Commissioner Butler said, and I think that gets to the core of it. This is a plaza. Is this a plaza, or is it a outdoor classroom? I mean, if it's a plaza like we've all visited, and it's always open most of the time, and then for temporary uses, whether it's in the morning for people to have coffee or whatever it is, you bring in things for that temporary use, and then it goes away, and it's a plaza. That's what I think, and I think that's what Commissioner Butler and Commissioner Drury, if I got that right.
Pardon my
Then
interruption.
I am.
Through the chair to Commissioner Ensberg, again, I do not want us to focus on use.
So let me connect it, because I think that we can.
I'm talking about the
Your
aesthetics.
aesthetics
That
that
is the
ties what
aesthetic.
you're saying. So
Yes.
basically, the heaviness of these pieces, it makes it feel like they're more permanent and there, as opposed to cafe tables that come out and go away. And on a typical plaza, the plaza transforms and then untransforms on even a daily basis, and it's not a temporary or feeling like a temporary heavy piece. So I think there is an aesthetic component that might be what you're keying to, but that it feels like it's not a big heavy thing that sits there all the time.
Well, what I'm saying is that if that were true, I could be much more flexible. I could say, yeah, bring in this, or, do that, and there'd be a lot of things that you could do, and I would feel totally comfortable with that. But,
Because they don't feel as permanent.
because they're not permanent, and you're bringing them in for the use that you need for that afternoon, you're having a class or whatever. So that's all I'm saying, is I could support more if that was the understanding. But I'm seeing this as what has been said by the other commissioners, as a plaza. So it should be a big open plaza, and then be a multi-purpose space, just like we're seeing at De La Guerra right now with the Fiesta.
All right, any other, so the question was to the how you all would you, do you want to see it or not, or do you already know the answer is no to bringing in element like the lending library or something else to play to for the furniture? Is that non-starter? If it is, make it simple. Don't have them even look at it. If it's a potential, and if they really want to try to do something that has this pop and has this.
It's a non-starter. Let's move on.
What's that?
It's a non-starter. Let's move on.
Well, yeah, thanks. I got that from you now. And they're here one vote. Okay. Is it?
I would agree.
Non-starter? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now the majority say non-starter, so I don't even go down that route. Okay. All right. Any other comments that we need to add to this?
Could I have a couple clarifying
Sure.
pieces? Does the commission, is there how do people feel about having tables that are more fixed, that are flexible, but out in the space longer term rather than coming in and out on a day-to-day basis? Because what I don't want to have happen is for the library team to be doing more research and spend more money than these tables cost. Quite honestly, that's probably already happened to a degree. And I want to use our time wisely and come back with something that can be supported by the Historic Landmarks Commission. And I'm struggling a little bit with how to direct the library team and Mr. Baudet, because there just aren't that many tables out. We've done a lot of research, multiple departments, on how we can find or what kind of 6-seater tables exist that can be purchased online without having to go through a process of having somebody customize the tables. And I did hear the comments of maybe that is where we need to go, but that's going to be a comment that the library has to decide if that cost is something that they can actually put forward. And I don't want to make that the only option for them. So I'm wondering if, the flexibility, if you can give a little info on that, if I understand that this, that the look of these tables is not something that you would approve, but if you are comfortable with benches and a longer 6-seater table, or if that is also off the table with this commission. I just want to get some basics that we can get the team to work on, so that we can move forward.
Commissioner Ansberg?
Thank you. Thank you. That very good. May I suggest, as an option, if you were to use 4 tops and pick from our design guidelines that we have, and just have very simple furniture that maybe it's wrought iron, let's just say, and they're square, and they're 30 by 30 or 36 by 36. But they're small enough that you can move them around easily, but they're heavy enough that they're not going to walk away at night, or maybe you have to chain them up, whatever. But you just have those, just a nice table and some nice chairs, and they're just out there, and and because they all match, they don't have to be all structured in a particular way. They can float around however they want, and they in themselves create a pattern and a texture that works. And then you can push them all together. If you want a 6, then you put 3 of them together, and maybe you could have a mix of benches and or chairs, something like that. But if you were to think about something like that, where you just go back to our guidelines and pick from there, and then just use some furniture there that in the numbers that you want that will fit for all these various things. Just as an idea, because I appreciate what you're saying, and we don't want to run around.
Commissioner Ensberg.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think, the one thing I heard from the library was that we really don't want this space to look like it has dining furniture in it. The intent is it's not a restaurant. It should not have outdoor dining furniture in the same way that State Street might have it for a restaurant facility. So that's where the library came up with a little bit more playful design, a design that had a larger table and benches, because, for that reason, and also because there just isn't the staff to be going in and out and moving chairs and tables regularly, and we don't want to see things walking away constantly. And so just sort of trying to figure out how they can move forward in a way that might work. And I hear we can look at the rectangular 4-seater wrought iron table. I'm not sure that that's something that the library is going to want to pursue or not, but we can certainly have that discussion and see if they want to move forward with tables or not.
Just a quick comment. As frustrating as this conversation has been for both sides of the table, I do think it's clarified something, so that one of the takeaways, we understand now better what the library wants to do in this space. One of the takeaways should be, in my opinion, this scheme broke too much with the EPV without a sufficiently strong rationale to justify it. So either give us a design that comes with a strong rationale about why it's not regular EPV, or give us something that is consistent with the EPV without putting handcuffs on you about making the space be the kind of space you want it to be.
And along those lines, I do want to also just acknowledge the inherent difficulty with getting stuff that works perfectly in this instance or in this situation when Santa Barbara is trying to get something that's manufactured, so it's reasonable price, that also does this artistically breaks the rule for Santa Barbara. And those two things are really hard to find because this furniture would work great in so many other places. Almost any other place in the United States could do that, and could do that in front of historic buildings and do the modern versus historic pop and change. But that's where we have specifically chosen not to do that in Santa Barbara. And so it makes it very difficult to find something that's both extremely unique and pop, but also do it in a Spanish colonial revival way, or at least some. And I think the examples given of Jeff Shelton and his brother David are fantastic ways where you can have both, but they're obviously custom and special. And so anyways, it's a difficult challenge. I'm not saying, and that's what I want to emphasize, is that it's a really difficult challenge to try to do what you're trying to do, and I want to recognize that because it is, it's not easy.
Mr. Chair?
Yep. And then we need to move on.
Okay.
Commissioner Leonard, very quick.
Yeah,
and then-
just an observation. When we struggled and ended up with a beautiful paving pattern, planting pattern, location for all of the stuff that's in the plaza, did we intentionally ignore seating and such, tables and chairs? Or was that just not, not revealed to us? And how did we design a plaza that is beautiful without the furniture, and then end up having furniture which destroys the beauty of the plaza? I mean, it's a problem.
Okay.
I have a question. Aren't kids, don't you think the kids should be a part of it? Like, isn't this kind of for the kids to have a bold, kind of fun, playful element? I don't think that's been discussed enough.
Okay, so that, okay, Commissioner Lodge.
Years ago, there was an outdoor reading room. It was outdoor, was walled in, and I suggest you look. It was totally charming, a lovely place to take a book out and read. I suggest you see if you can find a photograph of what the furnishings were. I suspect there would be far more in the EPV mode.
Okay. All right. So does that give you enough? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Well, thank you very much for all your hard work.
We still don't have a motion, and if I
Oh.
could just quickly go through the comments really
Yes,
fast to make
please.
sure that they're captured well. So the first comment is the commission thanks the applicant for their thorough job, et cetera. 2, the commission is not in favor of the colors as presented. 3, the commission is not in favor of the style as presented. 4, study how the pieces are going to fit within the plaza as a whole. 5, study functionality without making the furniture the center of attention. And then I thought maybe a good comment to encapsulate the comments from Commissioners Ensberg and Jordan would be to study the EPV guidelines and outdoor dining furniture guidelines. And then are those sufficient comments for a continuation of 2 to 4 weeks for everyone?
Yeah, I think that sounds right, and it does summarize what Commissioner Ensberg is saying. So does that, so, and then we can do you prefer 2 or 4 weeks for the comeback? Okay, 4. And then, okay, so who would like to make a motion with those comments? Don't wimp out now.
I'll make a motion for a continuance for
4 weeks.
4 weeks with comments.
Second.
All right, Commissioner Drury, second it, thank you. All right, any other discussion? All right, roll call vote. Roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Commissioner Lodge,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Drury,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvik,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, on to item, so why don't we take let's take a 5-minute break? Yeah. 5-minute break, and then we'll be on to the next item. Ready? All right, calling back to order Historic Landmarks Commission, July 30th, 2025. All right. So welcome. We're on item 4. This is a continued item with the revised project design approval and final approval. This is a historic structure of merit constructed in 1930 in English vernacular style, proposed for a 150 square foot first floor addition and 670 square foot second floor addition to an existing 1,000 square foot single story residence. The project includes removal of an as-built shed, new doors, windows, roofing, first story deck, and second story balcony, smooth stucco skylight, and exterior lighting. The proposed total of 2,200 square feet on a 5,100 square foot lot is 92% of the maximum floor to area ratio. Upon the Historic Landmarks Commission approval of the architectural historian's memo to the Secretary of Interior Standards, the project qualifies for an exemption from further environmental review and for projects to historic resources that meet Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties, according to CEQA. This is a revised project design approval as requested. Project compatibility findings and major alteration findings are required. Project received design approval on May 22nd, 2024, when it was last reviewed. And then if we can get the notes from last time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and if I could make a brief staff announcement
Sure.
before we go through the previous minutes. So as was stated in the project description, this is a revised project design approval. You guys gave this project design approval last year, but we did catch, as you were reviewing it, you caught that there was a small piece of the roof that was going outside the solar line, and so it would have triggered a solar access modification, and it didn't qualify for a solar access modification, so it triggered a redesign. So they're back for revised project design approval. This has been a very difficult needle to thread for the architect team. So they're coming back with this revised design, and it does not trigger a modification, so you guys don't need to worry about modification findings, and it does meet the Secretary of the Interior standards. So with that, now we can go through them.
Okay, great. So we'll go through the motion from last time. So it was for project design approval with following comments. The commission thanks the applicant for continuing work on the project. The design is supportive and sensitive to the historic resource. The small portion of roof that protrudes beyond the solar plane is acceptable. I guess it wasn't. And is aesthetically and historically appropriate. The commission feels that continuing the roof has a minor impact and is important to the design. 3, the commission suggests reducing the number of corbels on the back balcony elevation and changing them to wood instead of plaster. Study the corbel layout and profiles of English vernacular wood corbels. 4, the commission thanks the applicant for their study of the dormer options, understanding that the owner would prefer option 2. Most commissions find it appropriate and successful. 5, the project compatibility analysis findings generally have been met as follows. Blah, 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 blah. All those things are met. And then 6, as required for resources on the historic resources inventory, the exterior alterations are being made to restore the historic resource to its original appearance or in order to substantially aid in its preservation or enhancement as a historic resource. And D, the exterior alterations are consistent with the Secretary of Interior standards. The motion was by Uli, the second was by Enbergs. It was 7-0-1. Drury abstained. Dorden was absent. So the motion carried, and the 10-day appeal period was announced. So because this is back for project design approval, I believe it doesn't matter whether you watch the video or not, Commissioner Dorden, or
I did watch it.
Okay, and then Commissioner Lodge, this is a new review because this is going back for PDA. Is that true, or is
It's still a continued item, so we would still need the commissioners to have seen the video
okay,
if they
got
were
it.
absent. So,
Okay, so Commissioner Lodge, have you seen the video for this from last year for this item? Okay, so you can ask questions, but just not vote. Okay. All right, and was there anyone else? No, everyone else was there. Okay, great. So with that, if you would introduce yourselves for the record, and then walk us through what has changed in your design from last time, and we know the reason why, and what has changed in it, and I think that's the main thing. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Michael Metsu, I'm the architect on the project, taking over for Todd Stockwell. So what we've got here, there are a couple options were presented to the commission. in green are the ones we'd like to proceed with. Really love the 3 gables. Felt more fitting than having a kind of shed roof coming off of it. And we were in favor of the corbel in the back. And so this is just sort of refresh everybody. And
So that was from, that was the options from last time, and with option 2 being the selected one, right?
Correct.
Okay, great.
Yeah, no changes. So let's just jump to the front facade and talk about the solar modification. So there's our solar line, 12 feet up, 30 degrees. And so the way we achieved, not needing the modification was to just do a slight change to the pitch of the roof coming off the top of the gable. And I looked at a number of things. It was the only thing that made sense and allowed for the functionality of the addition for the family. So that's that. The other thing that I'm going to show you guys is that, Graham and his family are very into, being sustainable living. So they have electrical vehicle. We're looking at induction range on the interior. So they really wanted to add solar panels. The last thing we wanted to do is put solar panels on the front of the roof. So
That's the last thing we want you to do.
yeah,
too.
exactly. And so, I didn't want to put them on top of a flat mansard. So every time the neighbor's walking by, you're looking at the underside of a 15-degree tilt, which is like quite ugly. And so we got creative, and let's see here. Just get to my roof plan. Okay, so I think this is the easiest way to start with it. And so what you're looking at is the front facade is at the top of the page here. And so we maintain the slope of the mansard. So from the neighbors, the building's coming up high enough and the houses are in such proximity, you don't really have a view, but it shields from what is now like sort of a recessed pitch. And so in this way, we can just put the panels flat. We don't have to do any tilts. Nothing is visible to anyone in the community. And so that's what this sort of flat, PVC roof would be. And then what you see in the hatch is the matching roof to the existing, kind of wrapping around and hiding all that. So let's go to the elevations, and we can look at that. Okay. And so that's where the future solar panels would live.
And do you have a section through that
I
at all?
do, yeah. Let's go to that. And so, there's our facade where my cursor is. There's the mansard that wraps around on either side that hides it. And there's our little sloped roof where we can just gently put down the solar panels. And I think it's a win for everybody. We did look at sight lines from the backyard. And the building is coming up so high, it's just not an eyesore for the family either, as they enjoy their backyard and live in the house. And the way the neighbors' in the rear of them is oriented as well, it's not visible. There's a lot of big trees. So we're sort of lucky that there's just a ton of existing foliage that kind of blends. Okay, I think that was really it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. So if that completes your presentation, let's go to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I don't have any speaker slips for in-person public comment, though if anyone in the room would like to comment, they can come up to the podium at this time. I'm not seeing any movement. We do have one participant online. If you would like to speak during this item, you can raise your hand at this time. I'm not seeing a raised hand, but I will acknowledge that we received written correspondence from Heidi and Steve Rumer and give it back to you.
All right, great. All right, to the commission for any questions? Questions? All right, to the commission for comments. Why don't we just run through real quick?
Looks good to me.
All right, great. Commissioner Dorton?
A question. This design that you're proposing does satisfy city requirements?
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. It looks good to me. It looks good to me.
Doesn't matter, we'll just approve it anyways. Okay. And then, any comments?
No.
Okay.
It looks good.
Commissioner Lemig? Agree? All right. Good. Everyone's good? All right, great solution. Love it. And love the fact that you you use clever design to hide your solar panels, even though that's the one thing we have no control over. And you could just like put it right in the front and be like, this is what we're doing. but it's a fantastic solution, and I think it really adds to the beauty of the house, and considering all your neighbors too and everything else like that. So that's great. So this is for project design approval. And major alteration findings are required.
And final approval, just.
It was for final as well? Okay, great. For final, do you have all the details that you had in the last set?
Yeah, it's the same set with just the modification to the roof plan and exterior facade.
But wait, last time it didn't get final, did it? Okay, so let's see your lights. Okay, materials.
So the goal is just matching the stucco of the existing house. All we want to do is make it look like it's always been this way.
Yep, great. And then window and door details?
What was presented last time was just, we'll do the wood-clad windows and doors to match the existing. I mean, imagine we'll have to get a bit custom, but that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Again, it just needs to blend.
Okay. All right, so who wants to make a, detail for the corbel? Do you have details for that?
Yeah,
And balcony, ironwork?
Sure. So I didn't whoops, sorry. Okay, there we go. So just classic Santa Barbara ironwork, that's it. We want to just keep it in the motif of the local vernacular. We changed it to wood on the corbels.
And let's see can you show the profile for that?
Yeah. Let's see here. So just a gentle, little detail there to give it a little something.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to keep it simple, It's kind of a...
That's the hardest.
Right? It's like you always want to over-design it, and then you end up stripping it back. And
Not orange, right?
Okay, and then...
One question, solid stock for the ironwork?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I had one question too, Chair.
Yeah, cool.
That elevation here,
Mm-hmm.
is that, I'm sorry, the one looking at the back.
Yeah.
So is that opening is that to the bedroom, the primary?
Yeah, so the Romeo and Juliet balcony opens up to the primary bedroom. And then the one down below is, the house is still small, even with the addition, and we had a really hard time to get the kitchen to fit.
I know.
So these are bifold doors that can open up, and they can have that indoor-outdoor flow.
I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
why isn't it aligned on the right with the window or the door below?
Yeah, so the reason is we looked at that, and what worked the best when we looked through a number of options was to have the balcony centered on the door below. When you sit in the backyard and look at the house, obviously it's not a flat elevation, and that's really what reads. And if we started to, say, chop the end of the balcony off to center on the door above, you get this odd space of stucco. So this allows for like a little bistro table out there for Graham and Allie to enjoy, or maybe it'll be a potted plant or something to balance it.
Which is the...
Yeah. Maybe more accurate.
Which is the operable door?
For the,
Is that-
off the kitchen
No,
or?
the upper one.
The upper one, well, it's a 3-panel slider.
Oh, and it slides over to...
Yeah, they slide and stack. It
to the
slides
right?
page right, yeah.
So you can't just slide it over and align it and leave the deck the way it is?
No, we can look at the plan view here. I think that'll help. So, it's like everything in architecture. You start on the interior, then you go to the exterior and back to the interior. And so what you see here is the door is centered on the bedroom as well. So I think we struck a really good balance between the exterior and the interior.
I don't know, that just popped out to me. When I
Yeah,
was looking, I'm like,
100%.
why is
No,
that
no,
like
good
that?
eye. We spent a lot of time on that, but I think it's working.
Commissioner Levick?
Yeah, my comment is, the windows in the bathroom, you indicate on the elevations as being 4-light windows.
Correct.
And a lot of the other windows in the house are 6-light.
On the front, but it just gets very busy, like when you start to get all these grids. So we don't want to compete with the front exterior, but as you come around the back, we keep the same language. But we want to you want to be able to lay in the tub and look out through glass and see the trees and not be counting the grids kind of thing. We did start with 6, but nobody was really enjoying it.
Except for us.
Yeah.
We start in the exterior and we stay in the exterior.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess the question to commission is, in my mind, some of these things that are being brought up, it might be project design approval coming back on final for consent or something, or if you're ready for project design approval and final approval, are we ready for it?
It's no big deal.
Yeah. I kind of think the same thing.
I'd make a motion for preliminary and final approval.
Fantastic.
And I'm prepared to make the compatibility findings.
Okay, and then
I'll
do we have a
second.
second of that? And then you're going to end up doing details for the building department anyways, for your jam and all
Absolutely,
that condition.
yeah.
Does the maker of the motion and the second okay with adding the stipulation for final that the details are run by the architectural historian to make sure that they're going to have the proper relationship of wall to inset that matches the house, and the construction detail will show that and how it is, and not face framed onto the out, but actually inset the proper amount to match and as long as our architecture historian can check that,
Sure.
then okay.
Architectural historian to review details.
I'm fine with that.
On the
As
windows?
part of the,
That's
final.
fine.
Okay, to make sure that they match. Okay, existing. Okay, so we gotta make a maker, you gotta make the, go ahead.
The project is consistent with the design guidelines, is compatible with the existing house which it is being added onto in the neighborhood. It's appropriate from the standpoint of mass, scale, and height. I don't believe that item 4 is a necessary finding.
Except for itself.
Except for
Yeah.
itself. The project does not obstruct mountain and ocean views, and it's a appropriate use of open space and landscaping. The exterior alterations are being made in order to substantially aid its preservation or enhancement, and they're consistent with the Secretary of Interior standards.
All right, and the maker of the motion, the second, agrees with that?
Yep.
And, okay, so now let's have a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Lodge.
Abstain.
Commissioner Butler?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Drury?
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvik?
Yes.
Commissioner McClure?
Yes.
And Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Oh, and this is, this decision is appealable to City Council in 10 days. All right.
Guys.
All right.
Take care.
Nice work. All right, next and last project of the day is item number 5. This is a continued item for project design approval, 633 East Cabrillo Boulevard, located in EPV. Proposal for Hilton Santa Barbara Beachfront Resort consisting of a 50,000 square foot addition to Building B, Bougainvillea, as well as the removal of 2 guest rooms and the reconfiguration of 6 guest rooms in Building B. The project includes the demolition of Building A, Azalea a 4,000 square foot building with 8 guest rooms and the demolition of the tennis courts and a 240 square foot tennis shop. The total number of guest rooms would increase from 360 to 430, a net increase of 73 guest rooms. The total square footage of the hotel would increase from 329,000 square feet to 375,000 square feet, a net increase of 45,900 square feet. The total number of vehicle parking spaces on site would be reduced from 931 spaces to 880 spaces. Bicycle parking spaces would increase from 58 to 100. Planning Commission approved a parking modification, a development plan for a transfer of existing development rights, coastal development permit, and an environmental impact report addendum on May 15th, 2025. Okay, project design approval is requested. Project compatibility findings are required. Project was last reviewed on May 10th, 2023. So, welcome. If you would introduce yourselves for the record, then we'll go through the minutes from last time and then talk about any other, or get staff comments and go through any other things. And just out of curiosity, Commissioner Lodge.
I didn't view, I just realized I neglected to view the previous meeting on this.
And I'm
even though I was
you
on
were
the
on
planet.
planning commission.
I was on the planet.
Yeah, I was
I
going to
don't
say
think that
this might have
counts.
been, but this is not the first time we've ever had someone review a project both from the planning commission and then on HLC. So, okay, okay, great. So Commissioner Lodge will ask questions but not vote.
I will absent myself.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so now the motion from last time was to continue to the Planning Commission with the following comments. The Commission appreciates the thorough presentation and appreciates the applicant addressing the comments from the previous review. 2, the Commission is split on the proposed removal of the lawn. Some commissioners believe the lawn should remain to keep the continuity of the existing appearance. Some commissioners feel the lanai pools are not necessary or are potentially a hazard. 4, there is a general support for the location of the main pool, although at least one commissioner is opposed to the location of the main pool. 5, there is little support for the stone material of the middle hinge element. It is an important element that needs to be restudied as it has a great opportunity to distinguish the building. Study if the hinge element should be taller than the main roof ridge instead of lower. 6, study adding awnings to add color to the project. 7, the windows and doors should have divided lights, including on the central hinge element. 8, study if the windows on the central hinge element should be operable windows. 9, continue the pattern of the palm plantings across the front of the project. 10, the Commission finds the view corridors are supportable as proposed. There are no negative impacts to the view corridor. 11, the project compatibility analysis findings have provisionally been met as follows. The project's design is consistent with design guidelines applicable to its location within the city. The design of the project is compatible with the desirable architectural qualities and characteristics that are distinctive of Santa Barbara and of the particular neighborhood and surrounding project. C, the size, mass, bulk, height, and scale of the project are appropriate. D, the design of the project is appropriately sensitive to adjacent landmarks or other nearby designated historic resources. E, the design of the project responds appropriately to established scenic public vistas. F, the amount of open space and landscaping is appropriate. The action was by Ensberg, second by Uli, 8-0-0. Grumbine was absent. The motion carried. And I did review the video. Okay, and then is there anything else on that? No, okay. Okay, so to staff for summary, and then we'll go back to the applicant.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine, Commissioners. I am Ted Hamilton Roll, Acting Design Review Supervisor, filling in for Kathy Kennedy, the project planner who was not able to be here today. Just some brief background on the Planning Commission side of things. So on May 15th, 2025, the Planning Commission granted 5 discretionary actions, including a parking modification, 2 development plans, a coastal development permit, and consideration of an addendum to a previously certified EIR. So those planning entitlements from Planning Commission lock in the square footage, the height, sort of those land use aspects of the project. As you know, this project did receive positive comments back in May of 2023 from this commission. And yeah, I will leave it at that. And, you know, when it comes to decision time, if there's additional questions, I can help guide that process as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. All right, so to the applicant, why don't you walk us through, did you already introduce yourselves? I think,
No.
No, okay, so introduce yourselves to the record, and then walk us through, A, anything that has changed, and then B, how you've addressed our comments in this.
Mr. Chair, Clay Arell, architect, AB Design Studio.
And Rob Midday, landscape architect, Bosky Landscape Architecture.
All right.
So, since we've last been here, by the way, Mr. Chair, if we could have maybe 5 minutes at the end if we need to get clarification on any comments or things like that. Great.
Yep.
Let's see, it's been a couple years since we were here last. A lot of things have happened mostly on the land use planning side, not a lot on the design side, while we got through that process and went to Planning Commission on the 15th of May. The project is largely similar to what you've seen. We've addressed your comments. There's been a few changes, mostly with the pools and the site, the way the site is being presented. As we've been discussing this, your comments, as well as just bringing on a pool consultant and talking through things, the pools have shifted around and changed. We still have the 3 pools. The pool consultant actually brought up a good point that a lot of resorts are going to they want to provide lap pools, so we've converted one of the lanai pools into an actual 2-lane lap pool as an amenity for the property. And we still have the main pool, but they've been reconfigured and slightly adjusted around the site for various reasons, but we can get into that. We've also been going through some of the mechanical, electrical, and shafts and things that we do, so we've actually raised the plate heights a little bit on the building. We're still well under the views that you can see on the screen of the mountains, and we've improved that still as part of this project. If you recall, that building sits where there's a huge line of ficus trees that we're removing, which actually improves the view of the mountains from this vantage point and from all along Cabrillo, especially. We've added a couple small little buildings out in the landscaping, which we'll go through on the site plan. They're restroom structures for the pool enclosure area. Those are some of the changes we've made. We had on the west side of the building, which you can't really see in this rendering because it's behind that little structure, but we had a utility room space for pool equipment. That's gotten much larger, so that western facade has changed, mostly at the ground level. And we'll go through that on the elevations. Otherwise, the building hasn't moved around on the site. We still have the same mass, bulk, and scale relative to what we saw before. And a lot of it has just been in the landscaping. And then we'll address your comments. So let me get into, okay. I always have to remember how to do this thing. So we've got a lot of silver drawings up in the front. I'm going to skip over those, but those were tier 4 on this project. So there's a lot going on with stormwater, but we don't need to get into that today. And I'm gonna go through more of the architectural comments and then come back and let Rob address landscape. So we all know where the building is, where it's situated. These are all drawings that we've seen before. This drawing here reflects our change in height, increase in height, and we're still below the view angles here and here and here. So we've still been able to maintain that. How do I go full screen again? Or fit to screen?
Yeah, go.
Some of these. Command 4.
Plus or minus sign there.
Just go here. There we go. All right. Let me get into this. So here's our updated site plan. Excuse me. Building is still in the same location as it was. We've done a little bit of changing around this connection point to the building B. We still have this knuckle or the hinge in the middle. The pool, this is the new lap pool that you see here. And then you have this little structure outside. It's center lined on the pool. It's just a little restroom structure and, you know, showers and that kind of thing for the pool users. And we have another one over here in this little corner of the pool deck area or the pool enclosure. Again, these pools have changed shape, moved around, changed location a bit. We got a lot more seating out here. And then we have a jacuzzi kind of right in here. We've been working on the pool enclosure and how it interfaces with the building along these edges. It's hard to see here, but the pool enclosure, if you follow me, uses part of the building, and then it comes around like this, and then it comes down, and then it arcs this way, and it comes back up, and then it comes over to here, and then we have pathways coming out, connecting with the existing sidewalks. And so that's been the larger change of the site planning effort, has been in that area. We've done a few changes along here, just some walkways and pathways for egress and things like that we've been studying. But the building hasn't changed in footprint. This area on the west side is the large pool equipment room. So one of the things that, as we got into this with our pool consultant, we started assessing how much space we're going to need for pool equipment, et cetera. So we had a space that was about the size of this area here before, and so we've added this end and added that end. Excuse me. Here's some floor plans. Not a lot of changes to the plans at this stage. Largely is what you saw before. We've made these trellis up here smaller. Used to come out a lot further. We've pulled it back and simplified it a bit. Through these. So as I get into the comments, the stone material has been removed and it's just going to be plaster. We just want to keep it simple. We looked at raising this parapet up a little bit, but it started to get too high because we're using that as a roof deck. So we wanted to keep it kind of where it was. I think it came up a little bit, but we don't, if we go too high, then you stand up there and you won't really be able to see it. But the stone veneer's been removed. Largely the elevation is somewhat what you saw before. The windows here are divided. All the windows and doors are divided on the project throughout, per the comments. We've adding some awnings to the central hinge part of the building. We're still kind of studying where we might put more, but we have, the way this is currently constructed, we have a lot of areas here that are either covered with roof or covered with trellis. So, you know, the logical, you know, we could look at some here, but the main hinge seemed to be the obvious spot on this without going too crazy with redesign. We covered the windows and doors. There's a comment about the windows and doors should be operable. These windows here should be operable, excuse me. We looked at it. The problem is this is a double height space, so operating them would be pretty hard to do. Same on the other side, on the front side of the building. So we decided to keep them fixed. We've got some materials, whoops. I'll go into the materials in a minute, but this is the north side of the project. We made a little change over here. This used to be a trellis, and we decided to put a roof cover on it, so it's a little bit more sheltered as you connect from the second floor to the existing building B. We also had this stair tower over here that was open at one point, like an open stair. And after looking at that a few times, we decided not to do that because of waterproofing issues and other reasons. So that's a change there. The front entry part, we added some awnings here. These look a little tight to me, the awnings where they're kind of butting into one another. And then we've changed the windows up along the top, along that hallway. We've reduced them considerably. There was a lot of them. Felt like it was too busy before. We have these little roof deck moments that you can get out on, so we've added some doors to get out onto those small little roof decks. And then this is the west end of the building where we've added that pool equipment room. It's it's a service area, but we're trying to add a little detail to it, keep it simple, still like it fits with the rest of the architecture. And this is the west side elevation facing Calle Cesar Chavez. We have a lot of wall, so we're trying to break it up with some little details here, maybe some espalier on this wall face, so that we can, and then screen it with landscaping, which Rob can talk about. But everything from this roof line up hasn't changed from what you last saw. Whoops, wrong way. We've put some examples of just different lighting fixtures that would be, these might be on some pillars, some wall lights, kind of keep, oops, wait, get out of that. How do I get out of that? Some examples of simple railing, wrought iron railing details. This is an existing divided light on the property today. We're changing that a little bit on the addition, making it a little bit more consistent with EPV. Some awning material details, two-piece tile roof. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Cement plaster finish. There was a question last time about the color of the building. We're intending to paint it a light white color, and then as the property goes through their capital improvements, I think that's one of the items that they're going to be doing in the future. So hopefully this project will lead that one. Some porcelain tile example that we put on patios or upper level decks, and stone caps on pillars. I think that's, and then we have the renderings which we saw before. These have been updated with the current design, but you can, what happened? Come on. Why isn't it, oh, this is the one I want. You can kind of see the different changes kind of here, that little building and the landscape and the little one over here. Again, new pool layout, new patios and decks. And then I think this is the last one. So here's the kind of before and after. So here's the before, all the trees that were there that we're removing, the big ficus trees, and then kind of what we're going to end up with. And I'll let Rob talk about landscaping.
Great. Do you want to scoot or drive?
I'll scoot.
Okay.
I don't drive that thing very well.
That's okay, no one does.
I'm up for this learning curve now myself. Okay, so I'm going back up, down here. Up is down on the wheel. Okay. Okay, thank you. I think here we are. Great. So as Clay mentioned, I think most significant change that's occurred in the site plan has to do with the pools. And essentially what we've done is, as Clay mentioned, we've reconfigured them from a layout standpoint. Thank you. But the most significant component is we detached the pools from the lanais. If you recall, they were kind of an indoor-outdoor, like a step-out condition, right? We've realized that was a challenge from a number of different pool code safety reasons. So we now have a planting buffer, a 5-foot walkway, and then our pool enclosure. So the entire pool, the two long linear pools, the lap pools, have shifted away from the building somewhat. But at the same time, we've been able to hold roughly in place the outside edge of the main pool in this line. And I think this is a helpful diagram for everyone to take a look at, because what you get a sense of is where the pools are located with respect to the existing buildings and fountain area. So you can see our water line here for the main pool is justified on the back half of the, call it dry fountain rose garden space. Yeah. We have, let's see, I think it's, some 40-odd trees that we'll be protecting. We'll be removing 22. and relocating 39 of those. And the intention, of course, is to lean into, take advantage of the maturity of a lot of these specimens on site. Unfortunately, that number of relocation is probably going to change a little bit because since we've done this, the fungus that's been attacking a lot of the Canary Island palm trees around town, everybody I'm sure is aware of, is starting to make its mark here. So a few of the key Canary Island palms that we were intending to relocate, it doesn't look like we'll be able to do that down the line. We do have a diagram later in the set that speaks to this notion of the continuation of palm trees along the waterfront that takes a look at a larger scale. So I think you'll get a good sense of how we're able to actually enhance that palm line corridor along Cabrillo. Okay, here's the parking lot. Again, we're working to save the trees where possible and relocate these nice mature specimens wherever we can. Site photos, great. So again, I think what I want to really speak to is this notion of the detachment of the pools, right? And the creation of these different spheres of activity, right? Right now, we have the ability to separate these pools and have adult-only space, family space, a combination of space. So the hotel is really excited about the flexibility and utility of all these different areas. I think Clay walked through the pool enclosure element, and we have a diagram that speaks to that and what we're thinking about for that enclosure material. But you can see how that outdoor space from the hinge rolls out into this gathering space yet to be programmed. And from there, you will enter the pool enclosure, and you will have access to one of 3 pools. We do have an artificial lawn over here. It'll be kind of an event space, play area type of component. You can see we'll be populating a handful of fire pits and kind of smaller outdoor garden rooms for the hotel guests here. Here is the one bathroom space over here and a second bathroom space over here. And parking lot, nothing too exciting from a landscape standpoint here. From a material standpoint, we are looking at glass railing. I think you'll all probably recognize this as Hotel California on Cabrillo and Milpas. We'll be looking at doing something similar, whether or not it's solid black steel or aluminum that's powder coated is yet to be determined. After looking at this enclosure, actually we find that it's starting to rust through pretty quickly, so we may be working on that detail. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. A quick indication of the style of lighting that we're going for. These are really, really robust. If anybody's walked along the sidewalk along this development, you'll see every light is kind of leaning every which way. They've had their day in the sun and the salt air, so something really robust to stand up to the elements. And then from a material standpoint, we'll be looking at breaking up the material. So the pool deck and pathways will be some sort of colored textured concrete, and we'll have some enhanced paving for the hinge area, the entrances and kind of egress and exits of the building, and also the patio spaces. This is a material that was used on the renovation of the existing pool in that area, so we'll start to be integrating these materials and trying to provide some continuity in the landscape. This is a preliminary tree planting plan. This essentially is designating where these relocated trees are going and where new trees are coming in. And unfortunately, it kind of cuts this off. Here we go. This is better. But you can see quite a bit of the new trees or palms that we're bringing in are queen palms, and we'll be aligning those along the facade of the building. Out in the space, you can see that the blue numbers are the relocated palm trees, and some additional new canopy trees through the space. And again, you can see as we're pushing out closer to the lawn and existing sidewalk along Cabrillo, there's a dusting of palm trees there to continue that palm line corridor along Cabrillo. We have a preliminary planting mix developed, and where we're starting to select plants that are referencing the existing plant palette, and also adding some new players in there, all of which have to be low water use rating since it's a commercial property. But the idea is, again, to reference what's there, but to elevate and add some diversity. And you can take a closer look at that if you'd like and see how this is developing. The plant palette that we're looking to integrate to the site. Here is a diagram referencing the pool enclosure. So the dashed blue line or series, that's the series of 5-foot tall glass wall panels and a handful of the pink kind of magenta color here, that would be a solid plaster wall. And a handful of columns throughout these kind of changes in direction here. And this diagram speaks to that notion of the palm trees and the continuation of that palm line theme along Cabrillo. So we've noted the existing palm trees here in gray and the new palm trees in green and how that runs across the space. And Clay, have I missed anything? Do you have anything else to add?
No, I think we got it. We appreciate your time, and we'll go to public comment and questions.
All right. Great. If that completes your presentation, we'll go to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I don't have any speaker slips for in-person public comment, but if anyone in the room would like to speak, they can come up to the podium at this time. But I'm not seeing any movement, so I'll move to virtual participation. If anyone online would like to speak, they can raise their hand at this time. I'm not seeing a raised hand, and we didn't receive any written correspondence for this item, so I'm going to give it back to you.
All right. All right, to the commission for questions. Questions, Commissioner McClure.
I have a question. Can you go to your fencing plan around the pool?
Sure. Give us a second here.
And the overall park planting plan probably shows.
Almost there. I skipped it.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, it's this one. Okay.
Yeah. See how, on, I guess, the main recreational pool with the round spa?
Mm-hmm.
The fencing runs immediately adjacent to the hardscape? You know,
That's right.
Could you pull that out into the planting bed a little bit for a little bit better feel for the people on the chairs? You know, get maybe the hardscape ends and you have 4 feet of planting, and then the fence is kind of more buried in the plant material?
That certainly could be done.
Yeah, okay,
That certainly could be done.
yeah.
I guess
Question.
as part of that question, is that green right there that you're hovering over right now, is that a planting bed or is that lawn?
That's a planting bed.
Yeah.
The lighter green is the lawn.
Okay, and then the second question was, if you...
Sorry, I want to add, and it's not too clear in this diagram here, but per code, what we will have to have is a 5-foot clear area outside of the pool enclosure that will be gravel. Yeah, and so that's a pool safety requirement.
Okay.
But the idea is that we'll plant up to that and maintain
Yeah,
that
whatever, if
from
you
an
can,
enclosure
I just think
standpoint.
it'd be a touch nicer. And then if you go to your overall park planting plan, it seems like the concentration of existing palms in the park is a little thicker than what you're proposing. I was wondering if you could put a few more in down at your project area in the park itself. See how we've got pretty dense palms coming down? Yeah. And then in that area, it seems like it lightens up kind of. Is there a reason for that, or?
No, that really wasn't reason for it in this specific area, but if you look at it from a depth standpoint, we're also including these palm trees, or understanding those palm trees as part of that corridor running through here, not necessarily just the palms in the lawn, if that makes sense.
Are the dashed ones existing or demoed? Or what?
These are existing.
Okay.
Yeah, it just seems like a few more could go in there. I'm questioning whether a few more couldn't maybe go to the lower left of the drawing in that area. Yeah.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
One follow-up comment with that, because one of the things is that, you know, this is the pool area, so you're looking into there and more than you are on the right-hand side, so I kind of like how you have it, actually, because it opens it up a little bit more, less stuff going on, and it opens it up to the pool area. See what,
So now you have contradictory questions.
yeah, so he's saying one thing and I'm saying the other.
Or comments, yeah, sure.
Can you not
But maybe,
do that?
maybe, I guess study it. But.
Yeah, study it.
Okay. Okay, I think we're still on questions. Okay, let's keep going. What other questions do we have?
I have a question.
Questions? Okay,
Or-
Commissioner Ensberg
go
and then
ahead,
Commissioner
Kath.
Butler.
Okay,
Please.
I was just going to ask on the, back to the pool, the one that we were just looking at. Do you have any, are there any cabanas or umbrellas or anything like that going on in here that you're thinking about?
Yeah, go for it.
Commissioner Ensberg through the chair. Yeah, we are planning to have cabanas currently. There's some in this location right around here and right here and on this end. That's what we've shown so far.
And do you also have the striped canvas that's going to go on them? No, the,
I do not have the striped canvas at this moment.
what colors are you thinking for that? For those, are they in your color palette and stuff?
I don't believe we.
You know, we
Not
just
yet.
did it. We just did a renovation of the existing pool at the hotel, and did some really nice furnishings there. They're kind of in the grays and bronzes. I mean,
Okay.
what's out there now, but this is a different approach, and we haven't got that far on those elements yet. We haven't picked chaises or any of that either.
Okay, so there's still time. Thank you.
Still time. Those stripes in.
Okay, Commissioner Butler, and then.
So just two questions. I'm surprised Commissioner Ensberg didn't bring it up. You've got awnings on here. Are they, what are they? What color are they?
We're proposing, it was on our material board, but we were proposing black.
Black.
Yeah, yeah.
Solid black.
For now, yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
That's what we're showing right now.
Did you want stripes?
You're free to make a comment later.
That's the comments.
Okay, all right. Are there awnings on the existing building, though? There's no awnings on the.
I was thinking about that
There's nothing
the other
on
day, and I don't
existing
think that there's
building.
any awnings on the existing
This would be
structure.
a new design element. Okay.
Which is why I only focused them in that one area, because I didn't want to put them all over the rest of the addition, right? Like, I just felt like maybe if we did it in that one spot,
You could slip them in there.
you could just make an
Well, we-
argument,
we told
make
them
an
to,
argument
that's
for
all.
it.
Okay, okay. Just other questions, sorry.
No problem.
The lap pool. What's the spec on that? As a competitive swimmer, it always bothers me. Oh, that's a comment, sorry.
Yeah.
What's the spec on the lap pool? How long is the lap pool?
I'll let you.
It's 50 meter.
It's metric and it's 50, thank you. Okay.
That's good. Excellent. All right, other
We'll get you a day.
questions?
We'll get you a day pass.
Can you get into Los Banos anymore?
I know.
It'll be part of the conditions of approval.
That's right.
Gotta have a test.
You have to report it on your 700 form.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions?
I have one other question.
Okay, Commissioner Ensberg.
There's this public park, right? The front area. Can you just point to that, please, where that is?
So we go to the part of the property line.
Yeah, we went through this at the last hearing, but let me
Yeah.
see if I can make sense of it.
Thank you.
No, that's still civil.
I just want to be sure it was still there.
So to understand the public park, let's first look at number 12 on the mapped easements, which is here. The easement for the purpose shown below and rights incidental thereto, blah, 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 purpose, park, recreational uses, and pedestrian access. So number 12 is the reference to the public park that was in the specific plan. And then if we go to the drawing, and here's keynote 12, and it's pointing out this line that goes along here. That's the northerly easement line of that park. From that line to the street is the dedication for the park.
So, to finish that question.
So
So yours, all of yours, this is, because this is existing.
Yeah.
right?
This is an existing survey, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
So, about where is that on your proposed, unless
Right.
you actually have it?
Well, it goes kind of laterally through this part of that gazebo, or I'm sorry, the rose garden. So let's go, Rob had that on his drawing. So it's going about right here
And all the way across.
and all the way across, yeah.
looks like it's all lawn.
It's all lawn,
Except for those.
and there's pathways.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you, thank you.
Great.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, let's go into comments, and I think that maybe your own general comments as well as anything to do with all the new things that are developed, the pools, pool design, the planting, and that strategy, how that's refined, the restroom structures, pool equipment, the roof covered over the passage, the materials that we're seeing both in the material board for the architecture as well as the planting and the hardscape materials and those. And then I've added already some comments that were questions, but not really, that we can go over as well. So that were part of the things I'm already hearing. So within that, why don't we just march through and kind of make our comments. We had already made findings that basically said that it was project design approval appropriate for mass bulk scale, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Unless anyone sees anything different, I'm assuming that that's going to be continuing the way, and just how you're feeling in terms of these refinements and these additional things. So.
I'd like to go back to that hinge element.
Okay.
In particular, the roof that runs.
Oh, yeah, and also any other way that they've addressed our comments.
Yeah.
Okay.
The roof continues on through, and I don't believe in your prior presentation, I don't believe the roof ran all the way through. I think there was either an up or down to it. And if I'm not mistaken, in your rendering of the complex, that roof is not there, or it's raised or lowered. Do you have the rendering of the complex from the south, an overall 3D rendering from yeah, right there. So can you zoom in on that? So there's something breaking up that hinge element roof structure in that rendering, which hasn't changed from maybe a prior, although the lap pools are right, but in your two-dimensional, yeah, the two-dimensional view speaks differently to that area, and
Can you show us the roof plan as well? Yeah, I want to understand
It
that.
looks like that piece of roof is missing in that.
Yeah.
Roof plan.
Okay, so comes off, okay, it intersects with that angle. Got
yeah,
it.
but the ridge is keeping the same height.
Yeah.
So you may get shadow lines and so on and so forth, but the ridge is still the same height. It's worse from the north side, from the parking lot side, from the standpoint of the lack of separation.
So did that part change at all in terms of the roof going up or down?
Yeah, it did.
It didn't, well,
Yeah.
we
Or
did raise the
infill.
plate, but we
Yeah.
had a lower roof in this section that
Okay.
we've revised to be.
So my thought would be that, I don't know what the rest of the members think, that you really ought to look at that a little more. I think it would be nice, maybe, I don't have a problem with getting rid of the stone facing that was there, but I bet a change of color, a radical change of color, or whatever might be interesting. But I think that roof line has got to break, it should break in some way, shape, or form. The other comment I have, you've got iron balconies right there. Yeah, and
The balconies won't look like that. It's just an example of the wrought iron material.
my comment was that we see a lot of times the underside of the balcony is a reverse tile, or it's, whatever.
Yeah.
There's something done there that you look up and you see that pretty thing there. And if you have the chance to do that on the few that you've got, that'd be interesting.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Jordan.
2 quick comments. My memory from our previous discussions were that we were concerned about the pools, and I think the solution we're looking at today is a better solution. It resolves that concern. My other memory is that we didn't like the stonework, and I recognize that taking that stonework out on this version is an improvement or addresses that. So I'm fine with both of those. I do agree that what we're calling that hinge could use a little bit more study, but it's much better than when we saw it the last time.
Okay.
Black plaster wall, black awnings would be great.
Yeah, there we go. You want to see the awnings?
Yeah.
And then maybe some of the patio furniture from the library. Sorry, too soon.
You're going to hear it.
Sorry. Strike that from
It's
the
been a
record.
long day.
Okay. Okay, I'm just kidding. For the record. Okay. All right, so who else wants to jump in on?
I will. Okay.
Comments, yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner Innsbruck.
Well, I just want to thank you guys, and, thank you for the presentation. Thanks for all your work. It's really coming along nicely, and appreciate all the changes that you've made. Looks really good. I agree about I think the pool thing really is better, with the separation and all that. So I think that was great, and I think that's what Commissioner Jordan just said. And I also really like the little windows at the top going along the hallway. I think that'll be really a nice experience, and it breaks up, gives it a little bit of a different kind of texture and feeling. So I like that a lot. And I also really like the espalier that you have at the end on that one. I guess that's the west end. And I think that's a really nice, I guess I'm looking for more of this kind of romantic stuff that we always are talking about, which I'm sure you'll get to. And of course, I have to mention about the awnings, and I feel like it needs more color. I don't think black is going to help you. I think that, when you look at the site plan and you see that beautiful blue of the pools, it's just so, pulls you in, it's just so attractive. I think that you need something like that too, like I know black is a color, I get that, but I think a different kind of color, like maybe turquoise or aqua or, I don't know. Orange. And of course, I'm okay without, I just think in the pool area, maybe some stripes could be cool, but you don't have to. But I think in that particular, at the pool level, it could be kind of neat. So yeah, give me some more color, please. And otherwise, I think it's really, really nice. I think I appreciate Commissioner Lenvick's comments about that hinge part. Just kind of it needs a little bit more. Like here's the hinge, so that you really dial that in. But I think you've done a great job, and I look forward to seeing it in reality. Thank you.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
A long road.
All right, Commissioner McClure, did you? Everyone else good? Okay, great. All right, super. And I have just similar comments, I think. I would add on the studying the hinge element, I think it's a lot of interesting planes that you have going on and trying to figure out how everything's resolved. If you can also give us closer views in 3D, looking at it, because I think you've got curve walls, you got straight, you got intersections, you got roofs. So that'll be helpful to really understand it, because in elevation it's too complex to really get all the pieces. So so just to do that in 3D. Okay, so. Yeah.
One other, can I
Yes,
just
sure.
realized one other thing. You'd mentioned about the paint color, and that you have that color that this building's going to be, and that over time the existing building will hopefully follow suit, if I understood you correctly. And maybe that could also be true of the awnings, because I think that whole hotel could really benefit from having more playful elements to it. So possibly you could talk them into that. Thank you.
Okay, so let me go through and summarize all of the comments. And then it's for project design approval. Everything is pointing to yes, we're going to give project design approval. And so then it'll be to come back with addressing all these pieces and as you go forward. So. All right, so for the pools, the new design of the pools is a very good solution, and and very supportable. For the planting, the planting plan is good and supportable as well, with the two suggestions of locating the fence at the pool, what are we calling that pool? Enclosure. Yeah, so the fence, the pool enclosure, but that at the central pool, to moving that into the moving that into the planting bed, and not right up against the deck of the pool. Let's stay on the hardscape as presented is acceptable, and the hardscape materials and design. The planting palette we already said was good. Let's see, to study the hinge element and to adjust the roof either lower or higher, and to come back with 3D views of it as well. But it's going in the right direction, and changing the stone to plaster was a good design change and supportable. For wrought iron balconies, if the precedent image is used to have reverse tile, though that design goes forward, had to have reverse the tiles on the underside to be decorative. Let's see. Awnings. Awnings to do be more colorful. Black is not as well. Let's just say to study more colors in the awnings. Yeah, he knows the rest of it. For the and then as you go forward as well, we'll look forward to seeing the colors for the umbrellas, cabanas, etc. As those get developed. On the planting side of things, the other recommendation was to add more, to study, we'll just say study the corner with palms, and with one commissioner saying maybe more palms, one commissioner saying maybe less palms, but just give us a good reason for which way you want to go, which way is the better way. And then the pool equipment and restroom structures all seem to be acceptable and going in the right direction. The roof over the covered passage seemed to be good as well. Materials, we said. And yeah, so the change of the windows was also appreciated and a good solution. And then anything else to add? Oh yeah, the espalier design was also supportable. And then
Further accentuation of the hinge. I think you already said that.
yeah, as a study too and all that. So I think that, yeah, we'll see what they come back with. Anything else missed?
I make a motion for project design approval. And I think
With those comments.
With those comments, weren't compatibility
Yeah.
findings already made?
Yeah. They were commented on. They were in the works.
I think we will repeat them.
Verbatim?
Verbatim.
Okay, there we go. That's nice. That's a good shortcut.
Okay, I'm seconding. Jury said it could be.
Commissioner Drury
Jury said I
seconded,
could
and
second.
you're good with all that?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I
Any more
apologize for
discussion?
the interruption. You really do need to read out the project compatibility
gonna read-
findings.
I gotta be a
I
stickler.
apologize, but it's
Why don't you say
it's just
copy
best
and
for the
paste that
record.
whole clip and we read them? All right, go for it.
All right. Project compatibility findings. The project is consistent with the design guidelines for the EPV beach area. The project is compatible with the architectural character of the neighborhood and the balance of the project. It's appropriate size, mass, bulk, height, and scale for the area. It's, I don't know, are there landmarks in the area?
If there are,
It's an appropriate design for any historic landmarks, respecting any historic landmarks that are in the area. Public views of the oceans and mountains are maintained.
or even improved.
They're enhanced.
And maybe improved. And the use of open space and landscaping is good, acceptable.
All right. Oh. All right.
Thank you.
All right, and the seconder of the
Yes.
motion as well agrees? Okay.
Yes.
Under discussion,
I'm sure the secretary will smooth out the words I use, right?
all right, any other discussion? All right, roll call vote, please.
Sorry, can I just confirm, is Commissioner Drury or Commissioner Ensberg the second?
Well,
Commissioner Drury.
Drury was going to give it to me, but then he took it back.
Oh,
Okay, got it.
you can't do that.
Okay, well,
You can, you did.
It was
Yours the second. All right, so Commissioner Drury.
gonna begin the vote with Commissioner Drury.
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvik,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes?
Commissioner Butler,
Yes,
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes,
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then this can be appealable to City Council within 10 days. And is there anything else I need to read there? Nope, that's it.
Can I ask one question?
Oh, yeah, and then,
There's this appeal thing.
Yep.
And at council, and we were talking about that earlier, and do we need to have, since we're all in agreement, do we just need one person there, or do you want to have two people
I
there?
think so. I think normally if it's all in agreement, we normally just send one, if it's going to be an appeal thing. I
Chair
think that's
Grumbine and
standard.
Commissioner Ensberg, that's correct. Just one representative is needed.
Okay, so, all right, so I'll go as tentatively as of now. I've got my calendar,
Okay.
so I'll go.
All
Okay.
right. Thank
All right, thank you, and thanks for clarifying that, too. All right, thank you, congratulations. All right, so anything else? I think we're good. All right, meeting adjourned before 5.